With The Last of Us on HBO concluded, do we have a perfect example of how important gameplay is to storytelling in video games, or did the finale bring home this seminal story in an impactful and brilliant way? Let's talk about it. Good morning, evening, or afternoon. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the XP Podcast, episode 42 for the second week of March 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Mike C, and joining me once again, as always, my co-host, the Birdman himself, Logan B.
What is up, everyone? Exciting-ish week for me. Kind of have a little bit of a roller coaster of a story with a certain game that I will be talking about and what we've been doing. And then also package being stolen, perhaps. But other than that, yeah, pretty exciting week. Kind of exciting week. We don't have a ton of news to talk about today, but we do have a good amount and some kind of big surprises, and even maybe a surprise from me myself. Other than that, what about you, Mike? How's your week?
Pretty boring, honestly. Didn't really do anything. Played some games, well, watched some Netflix, and that's pretty much it. I've been sleeping a lot. I'm still not feeling fantastic. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm probably dying, but whatever.
Oh god, don't die on us now.
It's okay. You're about to have a computer, so I can turn over the files to you, and you can keep this going in my absence.
Yeah, it won't be the same.
I'm sure it will be. I'm not that special. No, but it's been, I said, fine. I said overall, fairly just, the same as always. It's nice that we're slowing down with some of the game releases. We're really only have one or so here and there. I get to play games at my own pace now. I don't have to rush through them and all that to report on here. Very excited about, obviously, a game coming out at the end of next week. I can't wait for that. But I just want to jump into this, talk about some news, talk about some games. So let's get into it if you're cool.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. As always, we start each and every episode off with the question of the week. This one's going to be a little bit more of a substantial one than you're used to here. With the fall showdown apparently set to take place between Spider-Man and Starfield, barring, obviously, a massive delay from one or the other, which game, Logan, do you think is more important to its respective companies, and which one do you think wins the commercial battle and the commercial battle?
Wait, what? You mean when's the wait?
Commercial is like sales.
I thought you said commercial twice. That's what confused me.
I said critical, and if I did say commercial twice, I meant which one wins the critical battle and which one wins the commercial battle.
Oh, okay.
So if I said it wrong, my bad. I don't think I said it wrong though.
Let's see.
Just start with the first one, and then we'll talk about the second one.
I will say commercial will probably be.
That's not what I meant to start with. I meant which one's more important.
Oh, which one's more important? Okay. More important. I think Starfield is more important because this is going to be the big win for Xbox this year, in my opinion. This is the game that Xbox needs this year. A lot of games are coming out this year with Xbox. This will be, honestly, a big year for Xbox with games because there has been a lot being announced. But I feel like Starfield is probably the most important one. And, I mean, clearly it's the most important because, I mean, they're even giving it its own show by itself in June, I believe. So I gotta say, what is the most important for the company for itself is probably going to be Starfield. With PlayStation, with already all these games, I don't really think Spider-Man is super important. Other than I guess technically both of them are as equally important because PlayStation needs a banger this year, and Spider-Man will be that. And same for Xbox. Xbox truly needs a banger this year. And I mean, yes, Hi-Fi was very great and awesome, and I love that game. But I feel like Starfield is going to be that big, that AAA game that Xbox needs this year. And so I do think honestly, both of them are almost as equally important, but I would almost say Starfield is even more important because Xbox needs a kind of a big win right now, and especially after like 2 years of not really anything. So this is in my opinion more important.
Yeah, Spider-Man is only important if it comes out and it sucks, or it's not good, or it doesn't
Yeah,
live up to hype. Starfield, I don't even think there's a competition. Starfield is infinitely more important to Xbox than Spider-Man 2 is to Sony. Like, they need this game to not only succeed on the critical point, but also the commercial point. They need this game to be Bethesda's game studios return to form. Because if it's not only is it questions are going on at Bethesda, there's going to be internet questions about the leadership at Microsoft. We've seen the delays and the games just not come out recently. And while we always say here delays are fine until they get to the point that they're not, skull and bones. But usually delays are generally perfectly okay just to make sure the game works. But there has been a decent amount of not controversy per se, because we don't know exactly what's going on, but there has been a decent amount of things not coming to fruition on the Xbox side, and they need Starfield to be that game. They need it to be that dude this year, and I think it will. I hope it will. Um, but yeah, if we're asking the questions, which one's more important to the individual companies, I don't think it's even close that Starfield is so important to Microsoft on a molecular level as compared to how important Spider-Man is to Sony. Like you said, they're both important, quote unquote, but I think most people expect Spider-Man to be, bare minimum good, if not great to amazing. And, Insomniac hasn't missed in like a decade. I can't even remember the last time they made a bad game. So I think the confidence level is there, the anticipation and the expectations of Spider-Man being what it is there. There's a lot of people out there that, are in kind of my camp of they loved Skyrim, they like the Elder Scroll games. Fallout 3 was, good to a lot of people. In fact, it was probably fantastic to a lot of people. It was fine to me. Fallout 4, fairly big disappointment, especially in my eyes and to other people's eyes. And then, we got Fallout 76. So Starfield is very important to not only Xbox, but
hey, don't
also,
forget about Fallout New Vegas, man. The
well,
best of the best.
Bethesda didn't make that. So,
Well, it is. Well, it is by Bethesda. It's just not made by the normal group. It's made by Obsidian.
yeah, well, I was talking
But
about Bethesda
still,
Game
it is a Fallout
Studios.
game. Okay, well that's fair. That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. The last two games haven't really hit the same way that they used to. So there's a lot of eyes on it. So I'm just saying, it's important to both Microsoft and Bethesda Game Studios. Which, by the way, that's confusing. You have Bethesda Game Studios, but then you have the publisher Bethesda Games. It's weird. It's like CD Projekt. CD Projekt Red is the development studio. CD Projekt is the publishing studio. Why can't you just name them something different, guys? Please help.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, we both agree that Starfield is the more important game. Like I said, I don't even think it's really that close. But which one wins out overall, do you think?
Um,
In the two categories, critical and commercial.
tough one. I, man, both of them commercially are gonna. I feel like are gonna be really up there. Um, honestly, I think Starfield will. And the reason why is the same as is the fact why I think it's what is the most important for the company. And I think since Starfield is not only the game that needs to come out here this year for Xbox, I think because it is the big game, this is the game that everyone has their eyes on. This is Xbox's push. This is their game for this year. This is the big one. Spider-Man, we've already seen Spider-Man. I think everybody kind of has an idea of how Spider-Man's going to be and how good it's going to be. Obviously, I'm still as excited for Spider-Man as I am for Starfield. Probably even a little bit more because I know what Spider-Man is. But I think because Starfield is a new thing, a new IP, that has been years in the making, And this is Xbox's big game. This is going to be that exclusive that's going to be on both Xbox and PC that literally people have been waiting for. So I think technically, if you're looking at it from that aspect and how many eyes are on this game and how important it is and everything, I think technically Starfield is going to win just because of that reason. Spider-Man, I think, is still going to be way up there. It's going to be super popular when it comes out, but I think Starfield is going to be the big one, the one that everyone's going to be looking at. That's how I feel about
You're
it.
you're talking about commercially.
Yes.
I think
And maybe critically if it does very well. And again, I know it's kind of like you're really rolling the dice on this one. You don't really know how well it's going to be, but I do think even critically, this is going to take a lot, but I think critically I'm going to take a chance on this one. I do think this game is going to be great. Especially with the new showcases and the new stuff they've been doing, I do think this game is going to be great. And I do think critically it's going to do very well too. I don't know if it's going to technically beat Spider-Man's score, but I don't know. But I do think because it's such a fascinating new IP with a lot going on it, a lot weighing on it, I feel like they really want Bethesda itself wants this game to be amazing. I mean, supposedly this is Todd Howard's game of games. This is what he's always wanted to make. So I hope he's put that passion in, and I know he's not the main designer of this game, but I do think with the passion and everything and what they want to make with this game, I do think it's going to do great. I hope. I want to. I want to say this, so I'm going to stick with that.
Oh yeah, I think critically Starfield will be nothing less than great, mostly because it can't be anything less than great. Like it pretty much has to be.
Yeah.
Or else there's going to be a lot of questions coming up that I don't think Bethesda really wants to have to answer. So I think critically both these games are going to be high 80s. I don't really foresee them getting into the 9s. I mean, the first Spider-Man was at an 88, so we don't usually see sequels score that much higher, if higher at all. So I think critically they're both going to be in the high eights. I think commercially it's going to be a fucking slaughter, mostly because Xbox doesn't sell that many games, and I don't know how you want to track that. But in terms of just game sales, most people on Xbox don't buy the games. They buy Game Pass and they get on Game Pass. And I guess if you want to
I
include,
guess if you might as well just go with how many players are playing it.
well, yeah, but
And
that's
I would say that's where you gotta like. I don't think we could really specifically go off of game sales because it's mainly. I think anything it should be off of the player base. How many of the players are still playing from day one, and how much does the player base drop off within the first month or so? Maybe a couple weeks, first week. Let's say that. I think that's a better commercially way of looking at it than because you can't say that they're gonna make less money than Spider-Man because the way that they're doing it with Game Pass is, I think they could technically make more, but obviously they don't disclose that information usually most of the time.
yeah, Microsoft made. Bethesda doesn't really get any of that. Bethesda's already gotten their money. That's what it. Xbox.
Well, it's Game Pass usually also gives a little bit more if a game does keeps going and
Yeah.
doing well. They don't just pay out one thing. It's kind of like how like Spotify and all that works, where like the more like it's kind of like what is the most popular thing. Usually they get the bigger cut compared to the rest.
I think it'll probably honestly be impossible to track because PlayStation has the sales, Xbox, has the Game Pass, and then the only thing we'll get is like the people who buy it on Steam. So, and that's the only
Exactly.
numbers
Yeah.
we'll get. So, but I do think Spider-Man wins out commercially. 20 million plus. I think it's up to 30 million now. People have bought the first Spider-Man game, and I just don't foresee a new IP, no matter how hyped it is, getting anywhere close to those amount of numbers. Like I said, there's not really a great way to track it. So, but I think in terms of the way each company tracks their stuff, I think Spider-Man will be more than Starfield, just because it's Spider-Man, man. It's like people will buy the crap out of it, just like people bought the crap out of Hogwarts Legacy because it's Spider-Man. So sorry about the chewing noises, by the way. I'm eating.
Oh, you're fine. Well, I guess yeah. Well, yeah, I mean that's fair.
Oh,
Probably from the disclosed information we're gonna get, technically, yes, Spider-Man will win in commercial for sure.
and by the way, there's
Because I'm
no.
sure we will never get the information on like what the Game Pass gives them.
Oh yeah,
So who
because Xbox doesn't really disclose that stuff. They haven't really disclosed sales figures on things since the 360 era. So
yeah,
like we still don't even exactly know how many units the Xbox One shipped. So
yeah.
it's not a lot, but we don't know the exact number. All right. Well, if not, you've got nothing else to say.
I don't think so, but obviously, there is no bias here. I think we both are equally excited for both these games. Probably, I don't know if Mike is even going to play Starfield when it comes out. I know he has a PC, but I don't know if he has Game Pass or if he's going to buy it or etc. Um, but I know I'm equally as excited for both these games for sure, and I will be playing both of these day one.
I'm 100% playing Starfield Day One. What are you talking about? Just because I
That's fair. I
don't
don't know.
like, it's because I
That's,
don't like Fallout that much. I fucking Skyrim's one of my favorite games of all time. Like I love these guys. I'm just not a big fan of Fallout and the way it plays and feels. So, but I'm hugely excited for Starfield. I picked it as my
that's
game of the
fair.
year
Well, that's true, but
over
I don't know.
Spider-Man.
I don't know. I just, I don't know. I'm not gonna assume that you're gonna play it day one, so I don't know.
No, I'm
But
100% there
because I
day
didn't know if
one.
there's another game coming out around then that you maybe want to play more. I don't know.
I don't even know. Let me
I don't
check
even know
that.
what's coming out around then.
Let me check that real quick. I think there might be, but I'm gonna just not care. September.
That's fair.
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's something right next to it. Rune Factory 3 Special Edition comes out the day before.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And also, we don't have a lot of release dates for later in the year. So, I mean, in the entire month of September and November right now, we have 3 release dates for both of those months.
That's
And there's
fair.
definitely going to be a lot more games come out in those months than those 3. So, and, one of those is the day before. So, I don't even think it's a real game. I still don't think it's a real game. I'll say that until it comes out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is the XP Podcast, our weekly video game and pop culture news podcast, where Logan and myself sit down with y'all and talk about all the news stories and happenings inside and out of the video game world. We post a new episode each and every week, so you can listen to it whenever you want. You can find us on most of the popular podcasting services, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. I need to slow down. I feel like I'm dying. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the XP Podcast, please support us over on our Patreon, where you get to be a part of our weekly discussions and give us your opinions on everything we talk about and everything we don't. You'll also be able to find all of our uploads there, along with any exclusive episodes we may post. Links for that, as always, are in the description down below, or you can simply go to patreon.com and search Experience Point, spelled capital X, capital PERIENCEPOINT. However, if you don't have any money to send our way, don't worry, we still love and appreciate you for listening to us and being a part of what is hopefully a growing community. You can also go over to our YouTube channel where you can get this show and all of our shows in video format. If you do, please remember to give us a like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you can be aware of everything we post when we decide to post it. New episode reminders for you last week. Episode 41 is up. It's live. We talk about I forgot what we talked about, honestly, but we reacted to the Capcom Live show on the show. It came out of nowhere, and so we listened to it. Also, our review for Hogwarts Legacy is live. It's out there. It's doing good. Go hear what we have to say about that game. With all that out of the way, though, let's get into this week's show, guys. In our points of the show, we talk about The Last of Us on HBO. It's over. The story is done. So what do we think about the show now that it's completely done and over with? And around the point, Naughty Dog has found the next project. The Suicide Squad may be in more trouble than originally thought, and The Last of Us almost reaches Game of Thrones territory. Then in LTR, we dive into the reviews for Bayonetta Origins and the Dark Pictures Switchback VR. But before we get to all that, it's time for what is and forever will be the rundown, where we catch up on all things pop culture that we've been doing, whether they be gaming, TV shows, movies, books, or comics. It doesn't matter to us because we like it all and love to talk about it. I need to take out some of that stuff because when have we ever talked about a book or a comic on here? Nope, I talked about a book once, but
Yes.
that was with DJ on it. So, all right, Mr. Birdman, what, sir? Excuse me. Have you been doing? Do you want to start with Resident Evil demo or save that for last?
um, let's save it for last. Why
Okay,
not?
we'll go
It'll be a
on
little
ahead.
bit more interesting. Okay, so Let me start off with a disappointing part of my week. So I've talked. I don't think I've ever talked about on this podcast about what animes I do watch. But one of my favorite out there is Demon Slayer. And dude, if you ever get a chance to watch this anime, Mike, it is literally amazing. And again, I'm not a big anime person. My wife is a way bigger anime person than I am. She watches so much more of it. But me, I only have like a small list of animes that I watch that absolutely loved. And Demon Slayer is one of them. And it's fan freaking tastic with probably, in my opinion, one of the most impressive art design, and also just the action scenes are so insanely well done. It's mind blowing. Like the amount of effort and the work that they do with the show is just fantastic, and the story is very cool and interesting, and it's just everything about it is great. So, they after their first season, they came out with a movie, and I went to go. This is the first and probably, well, no, it's the second anime movie. No, it was technically the first one I ever went to go see. First anime movie I've ever went to go see in theaters, and it was amazing, like fantastic. If you ever get a chance to watch Demon Slayer Mugen Train, uh, freaking awesome. It is so good. It's fantastic, and basically what it does is it basically starts at the end of first season, and it ends basically where season two starts, and it's just awesome. It's super great. So obviously my hopes are high. Season 2 comes out, absolute banger. Super good. Really great. So, under my surprise, during this week, a friend of mine hit me up and said, "Hey, the new Demon Slayer movie's out." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm so excited. I can't wait. We got tickets. We met out by the theater to go see it because obviously I don't like subbed. I like to watch dubbed. I'm not one of those people that are so obsessive that you have to watch it in Japanese. So I watched it in dub, and also, by the way, the dub people are fantastic with their voice work and everything. So you don't, I trust me, they are not cheaping out on the people that they do for English. It's very well done. So yeah, I went to go see this movie. And that's why I have movie in quotes. Because you want to know what this movie is, Mike? Oh, dude, you don't understand how mad I am about this. This is probably the most cheated I've ever been at going to see a movie. So, um, basically, what this movie is it's basically the last two episodes of season two and the beginning of season three. Yep. And even worse, these episodes are full-blown episodes, were so lazily edited in that all it was you watch the first episode or the second to last episode of season 2, then you watch all the credits. Then you start the last episode, watch the entire episode, credits. Watch the first episode of this brand new season, which, by the way, the entire movie was named after this Swordsmith Village arc. And technically, all you get is the beginning of the Swordsmith arc of this story. And it's basically just the first episode of season 3. So after more than an hour throughout the movie of watching something I've already watched on TV, I finally got to watch the brand new part of this movie, in quotes, movie. So, to say the least, I feel beyond cheated, and also for the people out there that are Demon Slayer fans, don't go watch this. Just don't. Don't. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. Just wait till season 3 comes out on Crunchyroll, which by the way comes out in April. Just wait for that to come out because it's not a movie. Don't expect Mugen Train. Expect literally watching the last 2 episodes of season 2 and then watching the first episode of season 3 because that's pretty much what it is. That's literally what it is. And I've never been more cheated in my life going to see a movie because the way that described this and the way that they showed it off in trailers was not what you get in the movie. So, movie, quote unquote, 45 minutes of new stuff. That's the movie. So, yeah. That was a great start to my week. And that's where
it kind of sounds like you paid for advertisement.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's wild. That's honestly wild. Like, I don't even know what my reaction would have been. I would have been fucking furious.
What do we? Okay, so it's really funny too, because you can tell all these people too. There was like almost like I think 10 other people in that theater with us. And you could just tell we were all really excited. And it starts with like recapping. So this is the weird thing. It starts with recapping 90% of season 2. And I'm like, okay, I get what they're trying to do, because with the critical problem with Mugen Train is that if you didn't watch season 1 of Demon Slayer, you probably wouldn't obviously know what's happening in Mugen Train, because it's basically the middle point between season 1 and season 2. So what I was thinking when it started, it was just showing some recaps so people can kind of get an idea of what's going on in this new movie. And then it starts with the scene on the second to last episode after some stuff happened, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're just trying to show a little clip. Maybe they're gonna edit this in, and it just kept going, and then it kept going, and then it kept going, and then I just started to look around. I'm like, am I missing something? Like, is there something wrong? Like, are we sure we paid for a movie? Because like I'm a little confused here. That episode ends, and then you sit there for like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes through credits. The next episode starts, and I look around again, and I'm like, am I missing something here? Like, am I watching a movie, or did I pay to go watch the last 2 episodes of season 2? And then, yeah, I sat through that whole thing, and then credits happened again. And again, I can't tell you that I truly think this is the most lazy, truly lazy editing I've ever seen in a movie. Like, and by the way, that's very hard to call this a movie, because it's not. It's just me sitting at home watching this anime on a super huge screen. That's basically what I just did. And then finally, the third episode, which is basically the first episode of the new season, finally goes. And I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. The last 45 minutes of this movie is the actual movie that I paid for. Thank you. Yeah, I've been waiting all week to talk about this, but dude, I am so furious with spending money. And it's even more disgusting that a lot of fans and critics are like basically sugarcoating this too and giving it high reviews, like 80s. And then they're like, I know it's lazy editing, but it was really cool to see this on a big screen. Okay. What? So like that you're gonna sugarcoat it and act like there's nothing wrong with the fact that all they did was lie to you and gave you basically the last 2 episodes of season 2 and then made you watch the first episode of season 3 and called that a movie? I don't know. I'm just baffled. I've never ever, and I've watched some really bad movies, but I've never seen anything like this. Like, this blew me away. I've never seen anything like this before. And I was pretty furious when I left.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up stuff on it to see some of the reactions that you're talking about. It's what's it called? Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yabiba? Yaba?
Yeah, and then it's like, and then it should be like the swordsmith.
To the Swordsmith Village.
Village.
Okay, well, at least I'm on the
Yeah.
right page, so. Alright, let's see. Yeah, there's like nothing on this. Oh, no, I do not want to add to watch list. Fuck off. Okay. Let's just read the first one. It says, this really would be an 8 or a 9 for me, but I'm giving it a 5 because this doesn't need to be a trend. I really liked what they did with Mugen Train, and the movie being the first half of the last season of the show. Here, though, I knew it was going to be the last episode of last season and the first episode of next season, but I didn't mind it in this case. This guy cannot write. I didn't mind it in this case because at the end of last season, as I was watching it, I thought to myself that I'd really like to see some scenes on the big screen. With that, the episodes from last season were fine, but did you have to put credits at the end of them and even the opening theme to it? There were even a few times it did the cut as if it was going to commercial. We all know how anime does that. Don't bring that part of it to the theaters. They briefly recapped the first season and second season near the beginning. I could understand if they were going to add some deleted scenes to the previous episode or something, but that's not what this was. Because of all that, for that new material, it honestly wasn't worth the price of admission. Just for that. What should have been about an hour and 10 minutes ended up being stretched out to a runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes. If you're going to refuse old stuff and take my money, at least don't waste my time. So there you go.
So now it's negative. Okay, dude. When I looked on the day I went to go see it,
Oh my god, it's
it was
almost
8 out of 10.
No, there's a couple people who there's just one guy that has 8 out of 10. People need to learn how to read. It says this film, quote unquote, is not a new movie. When you book it, it literally tells you that this is the 2 final episodes of season 2 and the brand new season 3 premiere. I have no idea why so many people are moaning that they got scammed. Do they lack any patience and fail to read things before getting annoyed that their biases were wrong? As for this showing, it's a lot of fun. Episode 10 looks amazing on the big screen. Episode 11 is a gut-wrenching tale, and the season 3 premiere looked amazing on the big screen. One con is that they didn't remove the credits for episode 10 and 11, leading to some awkward pauses in the flow. So outside of that guy, it goes 2 out of 10, 1 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 out of 10, 8 out of 10, another one, 1 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 10. So, but yeah, no, that sounds absolutely ridiculous and inexcusable.
Yeah,
Like,
and,
I guess
and
that guy
honestly,
said.
dude,
I guess that guy said there was a way to find
it
it.
clearly wasn't communicated very well for a lot of people to know that. I mean, clearly I didn't freaking know that. And by the way, if you go watch the trailer, it doesn't say that at all. So unless you have some N, that's the only way you were gonna know about this. I shouldn't have to do a ton of research to go see a freaking movie. When I see a trailer and it's clearly called the Swordsmith Village thing, I should assume it's a movie, especially when you went to go see Mugen Train, which literally was a movie. It was a beginning to end movie. There wasn't freaking credits after each little section. It was a movie. So why would I expect this not to be a freaking movie? Like, that dude is such an idiot. I know I'm getting so mad, but it frustrates me because I really love this anime. And it disgusts me that they released this and basically scammed everyone out of their money. And I do think it's a scam because it is dumb, it is garbage, and it's basically a half-assed way of making quick buck off of all the people that are fans of this to watch this garbage-ass, very lazily edited. I can't wait for more movies to be like this, you know? I can't wait for House of Dragons to come out with their next movie. It's going to be the last 2 episodes and then the first episode of the new season. Because let's make this a trend. Let's accept this.
Jesus, that would be a very long movie.
Yeah,
you're talking about a 4-hour movie.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, that's basically literally all they did. They just basically cut, and put the new episode in, and then said that's a movie. That's not a movie. None of it connected. None of it correlated. Nothing really. If it didn't feel like a movie, so it's just lazy. It's lazy. It was a cash grab, and it's gross. And especially when I'm as big of a fan of this, dude, like. Those first 2 seasons and that first movie are top tier anime, and I'm telling you right now, it is some of the best, probably up there with, in my opinion, the best. And just to see this come out, I've never been more infuriated in my life. And the thing is, I went to go see this movie at like 8 p.m. I barely got any sleep the next day because I was really excited for this movie. And then just to be extremely disappointed, and I know that's not their fault, it's my fault, but it just frustrates me even more because it's like I was really excited for this movie because I heard it was a movie, and it's not. So I know I've been going on for this too long. I'm really sorry, people, but I just want to get it out there.
It sounds
I
like
just want to warn people: do not waste your money. Hopefully you did more research and maybe magically found out that this was just the last 2 episodes and the first episode of the new season. Great for you. I'm happy that you were lucky enough to find that. But for me, I was not that lucky. And I'm sorry, but I feel like you should communicate this stuff a lot better so then more people would understand before going to see this movie, end quotes. So then, people wouldn't get scammed. But like for me, and even Amy, and my friend Cooper, which by the way, all are super huge of anime, and they even watch animes all the time, so they should probably know this stuff. They didn't even know what was coming for them. So I'm just saying, this is just a problem on their part. They didn't communicate very well. And also, secondly, you edited this thing like shit. So I can't even give you props for that. Even if you did say that it was just the last 2 episodes, you edited by literally just shoving it in, shoving in the next episode, and then shoving in the next one. It was the most lazy editing I've ever seen in any movie, period. So, yeah. I honestly think Velocipaster had better editing than Demon Slayer, the movie, the new one.
Well, it doesn't sound like there was any editing. It sounds like I could have taken a recording of the last 2 episodes of season 2 and made the same exact movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like now think of any show you want, Mike, and just make a movie out of it. Because now I can make so many movies.
Oh my god, I'm gonna make so much movies.
Invincible,
so much money.
Season 2, we're gonna make a movie. It's gonna be the last 2 episodes of Invincible Season 1, and then the first episode of Season 2. That's gonna be the movie. Bam. You know what? I'm gonna make millions off this. Bam. Such an easy idea to make movies now. We're just gonna do that with everything. Let's just do that with everything. Ugh. Super jaded. I know people.
Speaking of Invincible, Amazon, when the gonna release season 2?
They did come out the trailer that said this year, but they didn't give an exact date. So
yeah, it just says late
this year,
late 2023.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been tempted to get the comic book and read it, but dude, there's 3 big ass ones I found at Barnes and Noble.
I have 2 of them.
I need to get it. I want to read it, but I heard it's also less brutal, which I think is very strange.
I have the first 2 omnibuses, is what they're called, by the way. Those big.
Did you get that? Is it that big, thick ass encyclopedia looking?
Yeah, that's
those things are huge.
That's what an omnibus, I think I'm saying that right, is called. Yeah, I have the first 2. I've got them. I told my mom and dad, like, and my sister, I guess technically. I was like, hey, if you can just get me all, because there's 4 of them total, so I'm wanting to have the entire series. So, but yeah, no.
Other than that, I'm sorry, people. Sorry I went on that rant.
No,
I hope maybe I informed you guys to not waste your money, especially if you like it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to say that if you haven't watched Demon Slayer, I do think the first 2 seasons, and especially that first movie, 100,000,000% I recommend that. But obviously for this, clearly as my rant went on, do not recommend it. So... But
right, what else you got?
How about? Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
Well, your things don't sound.
I don't really have much other than yeah. I mean, other than that, I mean, we both you kind of put Exoprimal, but I tried a little bit of it yesterday. I didn't really get to play that much. Like I played maybe 15 minutes, so I can't really say much about that other than I think we were playing this after this.
Yes.
If you want to? Yes. Okay. I do have it downloaded on PlayStation, so we'll try that out. We'll have our thoughts.
Because I have a reason. I put just kidding, or JK, because I went to play it this morning, and I can't play it.
Really?
The Capcom ID thing won't let me sign in. It won't let me sign up for a new account. Every time I try to, it says something went wrong.
I had the same problem. The only way I found a way to fix it was to forget password, blah, 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 then get in. Because it was really annoying me yesterday. I was just trying to get in the game and it wouldn't let me make an account. And then secondly, when I tried to sign into my account, it wouldn't work. So I forgot password, made new password, and then signed in and it worked. So I hope we can play it and get our thoughts on it. Because again, I've only played 15 minutes, and so I can't really say I can give my thoughts on it yet. Other than it was kind of fun, the little bit I played, but I don't know. I didn't get to really put much effort into the game because I only played for 15 minutes. Other than that, I went back to Elden Ring. I've been playing some more of that too. I've been kind of in a very weird area with gaming right now. I have a lot of games I want to play, but honestly, literally all I'm in the mood to do is play Elden Ring. So I'm kind of going back to playing more of that, trying to I got a strategy book recently, and I've been trying to go and do some of the quests I didn't get to do in the game. So I've been kind of going through and trying to do some of the quests I never got to do in the game. So other than that, I mean, we'll be talking about Resident Evil 4 at the very end, so I'll let you get through your stuff real quick.
All right. Well, okay. I was trying to reset my Capcom ID. Still not working. I don't know what's going on. But maybe we'll play Exoprimal. We're gonna report to you guys next week.
Hopefully.
On that. So hopefully I can do it. But so yeah, I jumped into excuse me. I jumped into Octopath Traveler 2. I was trying to decide what I wanted to play, waiting for Resident Evil, and I told myself I wasn't gonna buy Octopath because Resident Evil is gonna take over my life. But then I said, it's a JRPG. I can jump in and out of that pretty easily. It doesn't require my full attention at all time. All times. So I said F it. I plan on buying it anyway, so I'll just buy it. So I bought it about 10 hours in ish. I have 5 out of the 8 companions done. So yeah, this is gonna be a long one, considering I think out of the 8 companions you get, 6 of them have 5 chapters. Considering I haven't finished all the first ones and I'm 10 hours in, I'm in for a long game here. But first of all, for those of you that don't know, Octopath Traveler 2 is a sequel to, obviously, Octopath Traveler, a very, very, what? A JRPG from Square Enix in the style of some of the older games, like your Final Fantasies from the SNES era and a bunch of other things that have come out. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you'll be into this game. It's turn-based combat, pretty good turn-based combat. It's essentially the exact same combat from Octopath Traveler 1. So if you like that game, if you like this style of game, I'm sure you'll like this game. But the visuals, fantastic. This is a beautiful, beautiful game. Obviously not in the same way as like something like, God of War or Hogwarts Legacy or something like that. It's not that style of game, but for what this is, it is a gorgeous video game. It plays well. I'm not sold on all the characters yet. I had a great starting character. I definitely picked the right starting character. But the next 2 that I went through, I was like, oh, these guys are kind of boring. And then the last 2 that I did, they were much better. But yeah, so it's like I started at the top, went down to the bottom, and now I'm working my way back up through the quality of it. I was like, oh, okay. So I fell asleep during one of the chapters for a couple minutes, which actually led to me getting a complete like neck thing that I can't turn my neck to the right side right now. So that's fun for me to deal with. Getting old sucks. But yeah, overall, there's not a whole lot to report on. It said technically, it says I'm 10 hours in, which sounds like a lot, but for a JRPG, I don't even think I've gone through the tutorial yet fully. So considering I haven't gotten all the characters yet, but it's really good. It's beautiful. The music is absolutely fantastic. It slaps. And I said, so far, 3 out of the 5 characters that I've met are good characters, with the first one being the best. Like, that first hour and a half to 2 hours that I played of his chapter, God, I'm like, dude, if everything's like this, holy shit. Then everything wasn't like that, so I've calmed down a little bit. But, man, my JRPG juices were flowing, if you know what I mean, that first 2 hours. All right, but yeah, so far, yeah, absolutely great. I'll report back later the more time I get put into it. But let's jump on into the Resident Evil 4 demo that released last week during the recording of our episode. I have played through it 5 times. I think Logan's played through it twice. 3 times? 3 times.
3
okay.
times, yeah.
Did you do the extra stuff that I have here, or did you not do that stuff?
I kind of already looked it up and everything. I kind of didn't because of some negatives that I'll get into real quick. If you want me to, or do you want to go to your positives and then I'll talk about some problems I've had with the demo.
Well, considering my positives are very short, it's Resident Evil 4. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and this, to me, feels like it's going to be an absolute fucking banger. So that's the only thing I really have to say, per se. You have a lot more things to say on it, so I'll let you go ahead and go.
Well, positives, obviously, I think graphically it's phenomenal looking. It looks really, really good. I think the way that they redesigned everything looks really good from what I've seen. Obviously, it's getting raving reviews right now. So again, it looks really, really good. So, here starts my journey of the Resident Evil 4 demo experience. First thing first, this isn't its fault. I think it's mainly a Steam Deck thing, so that's not really its fault. But on Steam Deck, it straight up didn't work. I tried everything. Basically, the only thing I found online was you have to download Windows and it'll fix it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So that died as quickly as it started. But then on Xbox, I downloaded it on there. It obviously started up perfectly fine. ran great frame rate wise, and graphically it looked phenomenal. But here came the Chronicles of Dead Zone, where basically for some reason, fucking Resident Evil and the people who designed this game decided to not add a Dead Zone feature to the settings. And the only reason I know about this Dead Zone is because when I was playing, I didn't know why it was feeling so weird. Like, I didn't know if Dead Zone was the reason. I didn't know what it was. I don't usually, like, I know I say change settings, but I don't really change things that much. Usually a game does a pretty good job from the beginning on how it feels, and maybe all I have to do is tweak the sensitivity up just a tiny bit. No, Resident Evil 4 on Xbox was freaking awful. It honestly almost killed me even wanting to try this game or even wanting to buy it. Because again, the most important thing about a video game is how does it feel to play? And when it feels so ungodly awful to play, it really pushed me away. Because so my first time playing through, well, first 2 times playing through, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy. I put it on Xbox.
Quick update: I have successfully signed into my Capcom ID and linked
nice.
my PSN account, so it is on.
Okay. But so I was noticing when I got into fights, especially that first fight, trying to aim around, it felt awful. It felt like I would move the analog stick and I'd move it just a tiny bit and it would go boom, like zoom. It would zoom super fast. It would just like skyrocket. And I'm like, okay, I'll mess with some of the settings. Maybe the sensitivity is too high, etc., etc. No matter what I did with any sensitivity, with the acceleration, with anything, I tried everything. It literally felt awful all the time. And I told this to Mike, and Mike just thought I was crazy. And it's fair. Like, I would think I was pretty crazy too for thinking how awful it was, because the way he played it was on PlayStation 5. Well, so after playing it the first time, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm crazy. I went through it a second time, and I died twice on my second time. The first time I didn't die, surprisingly, but that second time I went through, I did die because I was trying to be more aggressive. I was trying to really practice at actually being more forceful, getting into combat. Because the first time I went through, I was kind of a scaredy cat. I kind of ran away a lot. I barely fought. So that second time through, I wanted to be aggressive. I wanted to fight. I wanted to see if I could really like get these controls to work well for me. Nothing worked, as I said, and it still felt awful to play. Because again, every time you like aim, it felt really wrong. It just felt like there was this huge because what people may not know, so like Dead Zone is the smaller the dead zone, the less you have to move your analog stick to put the input to what you're seeing on screen. But the higher the dead zone, the more you have to move the analog stick in order to, move or do the input. So, for some reason on Xbox specifically, they have the dead zone so excessively high that it takes so much force to do the input, but because also the acceleration seems to be broken, you could get outside that dead zone, and then all of a sudden your dude like flies across the screen with his aiming, and it's so inconsistent that it makes combat feel like a chore. It was horrible. Like, I literally was struggling just to kill one thing. And it's so weird because I played Resident Evil 2 Remake and it felt amazing on Xbox. It felt really good. It was easy to control. I wasn't struggling to shoot anything. But for some reason, Resident Evil 4 felt awful. So, I kind of gave up after that. I had no hope for the game. I thought maybe Mike was crazy. Maybe he just likes really shitty controls. That's what he wants. That's great. But for me, I kind of gave up. And then a little known Digital Foundry came out of nowhere and made a video. I was curious to see how the game ran, what the difference between all the different versions were, because I didn't feel the need to download the PS5 version. I kind of felt like I seen what I needed to see in the game. Well, I noticed them bring up the same problem I had with the Xbox version. And then I decided to go on the internet and look up a bunch of other people's opinions, and literally everyone has the same problem I was. There's even a video that came out where a dude shows how they set up the dead zone for the Xbox controller, and dude, it is awful. Awful. And even worse, on the final version, I've already looked it up. It's still the same way. You can't change the dead zone. It's still as awful as the demo is. And honestly, I think it's going to sway a lot of people away from playing this game. And I think it's even more of a joke because they only showed people the PlayStation 5 version during this review period. I want people to play it on the Xbox version and see how it is because it's awful. Because the thing is, game runs fine. It's perfect. Honestly, even on Digital Foundry's thing, it actually looks technically sharper than PlayStation 5. So it actually looks better. But the controls are so god awful that I think it's basically unplayable. And maybe that's a bit of a hyperbole or, I'm being a little too much on it. But dude, it is really that bad. It is that bad. So I downloaded the PS5 version after talking to Mike to try it out. And dude, it's like a 9-day difference. I don't know, again, what they did other than the dead zone thing. But dude, on PlayStation, I was having a way easier time hitting my targets. I was having an easier time during all the action scenes in the village. I felt like I was actually having what you would say a good time. So I don't know what the fuck happened. But dude, it actually made me go buy it. So Mike, as of Friday, I will be playing Resident Evil 4 with you on PlayStation. Because since they're clearly not going to fix the Xbox version, that's out the window. And I give up on it. And clearly it seems like they don't want to put the effort in designing a good video game on the Xbox. So I want to see some reviews come out about the Xbox version because all of them have been PlayStation. And honestly, if I had to rate the Xbox version because of the way they designed it, the developers designed it, I would give it a solid 4 out of 10. Freaking awful. Awful. And I mean that. It is awful. But
I have
that,
I have the
I had
answer
a slow
for you.
experience.
I have the answer for you. So on PS5, it's sitting at a 93 on Metacritic, and on Xbox X and S, it's at a 91.
I don't know how people play it, man. Like I'm telling you, dude, I kind of want when you come down, I might download the Xbox demo just to let you try it. Like I kid you not, look up what people have been saying about it. It's bad. Like, and I play a lot of shooter games. I mean, heck, I told you I played Resident Evil 2. It felt perfectly fine. But dude, for some reason, the Resident Evil 4 one is really awful. And I heard that even the final version still has that. So maybe people like shitty controls. That's great. That's
Possibly.
cool. But Resident Evil 5, man, on PS5, or sorry, Resident Evil 4 on PS5, way better. And it kind of makes me mad because I wanted to play it on Xbox. I know that's a cardinal sin, it seems like to some people. But I really wanted to play it on the Xbox because I don't know. I just wanted to play it on there. I usually play a lot of shooter games on my Xbox, so I kind of wanted to play. I know it's not a shooter game; it's a survival horror with action. Um, but I more just wanted to play an Xbox, but clearly that isn't going to be a thing. And it's not Xbox's fault. It's the people who developed this game that for some reason made the worst dead zone to ever exist that you cannot change on Xbox. And I just don't want to play it on there. If it's going to be that awful, then I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to go into this conspiracy theory about maybe they just don't like Xbox because that seems kind of dumb. But I just don't think I just don't know why they did that. I just don't know. It's literally, I kid you not, it's a 9-day difference. I've never seen this in a game before. Another weird problem within this week that like I noticed that just was just very strange. But I will say, after playing the PS5 demo, I really enjoyed myself playing it that way. It felt really good. It felt responsive, and in general, it still looked very good. And yeah, I'm excited now. But I wasn't excited after playing the Xbox version. Which again, I hope people don't assume that I'm just being like a PlayStation fanboy now. I'm just trying to explain the honest truth of for some and even since the beginning of this podcast that I am more of an Xbox person most of the time. I will admit I've kind of swayed in between now, and heck now soon I'll be hopefully having a PC built, and I'll be even more split between three now. So it's not like I'm trying to pick favorites. I'm just being honest, guys. Look up the facts. For some reason, they made the Xbox version feel horrible with the aiming. So maybe some people can get away with that. So maybe some people don't care, they don't notice it. But for me, man, like it was so noticeable that it made me not almost want to get this game or even play it. So,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When you first told me that, I thought you were fucking psychotic. I
dude,
was
that's
like,
what I thought too. I thought literally, dude, like I was just being hypercritical. I played this demo twice, just to make sure I knew what I was doing. Maybe I was struggling. But yeah, I did. But I also finally found the shotgun after playing it my third time.
yeah, the shotgun's
And
in the exact same place it's always
dude,
been.
it's
So
so cool. Yeah,
that
I for some reason couldn't find that building because I was struggling. I was also kind of panicking because I didn't know what I was doing.
there's a lot of
And I
people.
also figured out how to deflect too, which I struggled with in my first two playthroughs because I didn't understand how to deflect. So I just kept getting hit constantly. And again, I wasn't being dumb. I made sure to make my distance, but like I was struggling and I felt like I was using my knife improperly. So I looked up some tips to figure some stuff out, and now I feel like I know more of how to basically actually reflect, and also how to actually get combat working very well. So yeah, no, after playing the PlayStation 5 demo, man, this game is awesome. I was having a good time. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I've been through the roof excited. You know this.
Yeah,
If you guys have listened to our first episode where we go through our top 10 games of all time, you know how excited I am for Resident Evil 4. I have loved this game from the time I first played it in October of 2005, and yeah, I just can't wait. I think it looks amazing. It's definitely a lot more darker in tone, like way darker in tone. They definitely have, through the visual change-ups that they've employed here, changed the way the mood of the game feels, which I'll be interested to see how some of the other areas in this game, how that affects them. But from what I've heard out there, it it keeps what Resident Evil 4 is and was, that high level of just campy action horror. Like, you got Leon shouting out one cheesy ass one liners all the time. He's doing freaking suplexes and roundhouses and all that, which makes no sense in the context of what Resident Evil 2 was. But that is what this game is. This is a campy action horror video game that redefined an entire genre back when it came out. And I think that's why people love them. That's why I love this game. I also just think the story and the characters are really well done. The settings really, it's just a fun game to play. And I think the same for this demo. Obviously, I didn't play it on Xbox, so I have no clue what was going on. All I know is when Logan texted me
dude.
like that.
Again, when you come down 2 weeks, dude, I'm going to download it again just so you can try it because, dude, I'm telling you, you're gonna notice it. Maybe you won't. I don't know. Maybe you're not as much of a shooter person as I am, but still, who knows? Maybe you will notice it. But I mean, even like Digital Foundry notice it. A lot of people online are noticing it. I guess critics are blind to it. I don't know, but you do need to try it because I'm telling you, man, like it was night and day, and it's wild the difference.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But after my first couple playthroughs, I did. I didn't discover this. The internet discovered it. I don't know how I was ever meant to discover this, but
Yeah.
I went. I found the chainsaw mode. How to unlock that. I didn't do it the real way. I did it the controller input way. I wasn't going through everything you have to do in game to unlock it. But and then I also went through and I played with the TMP. TMP is one of the best guns in the original game, if not the best gun in the original game. And I don't know why they made it as convoluted to unlock as they did, but that's Capcom. That's Resident Evil. They do that weird shit. I don't know if you looked up how you have to
I
get it.
did, yeah, I seen it.
And
I was tempted to try it the other day, but I was like, I just kind of want to play through this demo the normal way. I kind of want to go back and actually do the TMP thing.
yeah, well, the TMP is just quite simply one of the best guns in the game, and it feels amazing. It's super great. It feels super good to shoot and control. And then the chainsaw mode is hard as fuck. I die almost immediately. I have not beat the game on chainsaw mode. I tried a couple times, and I'm like, all right, this isn't for me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
back out.
So wait, what happens in chainsaw mode? Because I didn't actually watch a lot of videos on that.
It's just like,
is it just basically a hard version?
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
ultra hard mode,
Okay.
and like you die like in 2 hits from the regular people.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you know anything, it's not exactly easy to stop the like air things, the thrown attacks. Not exactly easy. A lot harder than it was in the original game. And that's one thing that I wanted to say is overall, this feels kind of ratcheted up in that difficulty and that tension a little bit as compared to the original game. I noticed you can't outrun people in this game. In the first game, you could pretty much always just run away and you were faster than the enemies. You are not faster than the enemies in this game. They will keep up with you. And when you try to create space and turn around, they're right there. So this is definitely going to be a little bit of adjustment for those of you that have played Resident Evil as much as I have. It's definitely a little bit more difficult. And I will say, at first, the shooting did feel kind of floaty in a way, and I got really used to that. So that's what I thought you were talking about, and I'm like, man, it's really not that bad. I was like, it took me like 2 minutes to adjust to it, maybe. So like when you first started talking to me about how bad the aiming was, I was like, dude, it is not that bad. I thought you were being a little bit of a pansy ass, but...
No, dude. Like I
get it now.
Good at the third-person games, man. Usually, I'm really good at, and I have no problems with. But man, this game was like, yeah. If you have an Xbox and you want to go download the demo, let us know what you thought of it. Because man, I'm telling you, like, it was awful. Like, and it really almost made me not want to play this game at all. It really pushed me that hard because I was having a good time at first. But then the more I got into combat on the Xbox version and I had to actually aim and hit precise hits, which is very important in this game, clearly, then it's basically unplayable, in my opinion. So,
yeah, after playing the demo, I'm so excited for this game. I'm actually going to end up buying it twice. Not for what you think, because I have the collection edition pre-ordered on GameStop, right?
Yeah, which I'm surprised they didn't cancel yours because they canceled my brother's. By the way, screw you, GameStop. I just want to let you know that.
Well,
okay. You're literally a piece of crap.
Here's the thing. I don't want to have to wait for them to ship it to me. I haven't gotten word if they canceled it or not. So I don't know. Maybe it is canceled. But every time I try to cancel it, it says something went wrong. So maybe it is canceled. They just haven't told me yet. But I really don't want to spend another $250, even though the statue is really cool and all that. And I mostly don't want to have to wait for the game because they do that dumb thing where they ship it out once the game launches instead of just shipping it to your house because you pre-ordered the game. So I'm just gonna go buy it on launch day. I'll probably buy the digital deluxe upgrade because I want some of those.
That's the way.
Yeah, admittedly stupid looking costumes, but
yes, and I love the little filters and everything. Yeah, I'm actually very excited for that.
Yeah, I did talk to some people over on Reddit that said, "Oh, these are the worst alternative costumes of all time." I'm like, well, they're not great. You have to understand Resident Evil is very campy and very humorous, even though it is dealing with like
and I bet you're gonna unlock a lot of funny outfits after beating it. Because I remember in the original game, I watched my dad play it again on the Wii, which is very funny to say. But surprisingly, I watched some videos on it, dude. The Wii version, man, had some insanely good controls. I mean, I watched my dad play it, and he had an amazing time with it. And which, by the way, my dad obviously is getting this game too. He's actually really excited since he also got a PS5 too. I mean, you can get it on PS4, but he has a PS5 now, and I'm really excited for him to actually play some more next gen games and everything. But yeah, like you can get some really wild outfits in the original, like the Mafia outfit and all that. I remember my dad rocking the Mafia outfit and then rocking the Tommy gun in New Game Plus. And I was like, this is cool. Because I think I played it on my dad's save, I think one time. I played like the village sequence, but as a kid, I really sucked at it, and I was more terrified of it. So I would always die and never get past it. Obviously, now that I'm older, I can clearly handle it. I mean, I beat the demo like 3 times.
Well, not on Xbox, so.
Not on Xbox. On Xbox, somehow I beat it twice, but it was rough. I'll tell you that. But yeah, no, yeah. Now I kind of lost myself. Oh yeah, just basically, there's gonna be cool outfits in game already, which I'm sure there's gonna be a lot to unlock. But it's cool bonus outfits. I mean, some of them I probably will rock in New Game Plus.
But anyway, I've gotten word that you can return things at GameStop unopened, so I'm just gonna return the collector's edition and get my money back. Since if it does get delivered, since apparently I don't know if it's getting delivered or not. I have no news. I guess I probably need to email them and get an update on it. So I'll do that after this. But yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to play it. I want to move on. We've been talking a lot here, so
Yes.
someone ranted for 20 minutes about a Demon Slayer TV show.
I know, right?
All right, guys. That was the rundown. Let us know if you guys have checked out the Resident Evil 4 demo. Are you jumping into the Exo Primal beta with Logan? Well, not with Logan and I, but like at the same time, I guess. I guess when they hear this, did you jump into it? Because it'll be over by the time I post this. Anyway, let us know down below what's going on out there. We're going to go in now to the point of the show, also known as POTS. And this is the last week where we get to talk about a new episode of The Last of Us on HBO. I guess until season 2 comes out. Then we'll talk about that. But we're going to go deep dive and break this final episode down, the finale, talk about what we think about it. And then I have a question for Mr. Logan at the end of this. But if you don't know how we do it here, usually when we talk about games and all that, we don't spoil anything. There is essentially no way to talk about this show, and especially this episode, without spoiling things and talking about the story in the comparisons talk and all that. So if you haven't watched it yet, if you are listening to us, if you have been listening to us, go ahead, skip ahead in the timestamps. They'll be down below. Go ahead and skip ahead to the first story of Around the Point, then come on back and listen to what we have to say after you've watched the episode. So with all that out of the way, it's over, man. We got all the way through it.
Indeed.
And just like the character on the show, I have to ask, was it all for nothing or not?
Oh man. This last episode was a tough one, man. That's all I gotta say. Um, First thing first, I want to throw out there: why is the last episode of a series the shortest episode of the entire season? Like, why? 43 minutes.
It was
And
fairly
the
anemic.
second, what?
It was a fairly anemic runtime.
Yeah. I was really confused because I was like, after I finished it, I was like, man, this felt really short. And then I looked it up. And I'm like, oh yeah, because it's literally the shortest episode of the entire season, or series at this moment. Which I mean, I guess they are gonna have a season 2. So yeah, season. Um, yeah, first thing first, positive. Wow, we finally get a badass Joel.
I was just say, I was watching the scene
Finally.
play out, and I'm like, well, at least Logan will be happy with this.
Yeah, that's the finally. It
And
only took
it's
the entire season.
It's really fucking good. That
Yeah, like
hospital scene.
that part was badass, and even Amy's reaction to it was fantastic. And again, it was really really cool. Which I'll have to tell you her response after we finish the episode. First thing first, let's start at the beginning of this episode. Did they really need to show that? By the way, this isn't, I guess this is a spoiler for the show specifically, because it's not in the game. And again, I don't think it was needed. But for some reason, they have decided to be a little bit more upfront on explaining things than in the game, where everything kind of was like you figure it out through just playing. It's not like shoved in your face. But they kind of shoved it in your face in this last episode by showing how Ellie's mom, which by the way, you never see her in the game at all, she basically is pregnant, running away from one runner infected. And then, which by the way, it's pretty funny how last week I said, oh man, there might be a lot more infected. Oh my god. Was one. But, intro sequence, she's running away from a runner. She gets all the way upstairs, blocks the door, and basically kills the zombie while also somehow getting this, basically giving birth within the exact same moment. Wow, what are the odds of that? And basically, she gets bit while also, I guess, not only killing this infected, but also having birth. She also got bit at the same time. And that's basically why Ellie is immune. And you finally get that, you kind of get that shoved in your face in the thing. Do I think this was needed? No. I honestly kind of feel like this was padding to the fact that they didn't have a lot to show this episode, so they're like, oh god, we don't got really a lot to show, guys. Let's really shove the scene in there, like as if people needed it. I don't think it was needed, in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously I have thoughts. I was about to say I have thoughts. Well, no shit, Sherlock.
What?
I'm not a fucking I'm not a blank just sarcophagus over here. Do I think it was needed, to answer your question? No, I do not. Do I think it was bad in any way, or do I honestly think it took away from the show? I don't think so. Did I need to know how Ellie became immune? No. Do I think it hurts? Do I think it hurt the story overall? No, I don't think it did that. What did that, in my opinion, is the rest of the series. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But this scene in particular, did we need to know that sort of information? No, I don't think so. But do I think it took anything away? No, I thought it was perfectly fine. It was well executed. I thought it was well acted. I like seeing Ashley Johnson back as Ellie's mom. That was a cool thing, even though it tripped me up because when Ashley Johnson starts talking, I hear Ellie, and I'm like, that's Ellie. That's Ellie, but it was a little weird, that thing. But I thought it was kind of
funny that Ellie born Ellie.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, gave birth to Ellie.
Her name is technically Anna, but
yeah,
No, the character name is Anna. So
no, I know.
Okay.
I figured, but I'm just saying the actress that plays Ellie in the video game is the one that gave birth to Ellie in the show.
Yeah, I got you. But I actually think it worked in a way that we didn't get in the game, and that is Marlene's connection to Ellie. We hear about it in the game. We hear we've been here. Marlene's been there, from the beginning and all that. But we didn't really ever get to see that. So I think seeing Marlene have to take out Anna, Ellie's mom, at the point of birth, pretty much, not pretty much exactly. I think that leads higher credence to the way that she feels and the way that she acts and the difficulty of the decision she has to make at the end of the episode. I think that actually does help her characterization slightly. I did want to say one thing real funny that I laughed at in the show when she hands Ellie off to that little soldier guy and she says cover her ears, and then she goes in and kills his mom. Yeah, it's a fucking most useless dude.
Dude, that soldier is truly, dude, honestly. That was the most useless Firefly of all time. He didn't say anything, and then when she gave him an order, he still didn't do it.
Dude, I had to pause the TV show. I was laughing so loud. I'm like, you had literally one job. You had a singular job, and you didn't do it. You just sat there and stared at the kid. That was funny, but that didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of the show. But I did laugh at it. I was like, wow, way to do fucking nothing, dude.
I know, right?
But yeah, I do want to say, my overall thoughts on this episode. Overall, we'll get more into the nitty gritty, the grainy here in a second. But I actually really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was an incredibly faithful adaptation to what happens in the game. It's essentially at points shot for shot for the game. But this episode is the recipient of some of the missteps they've taken throughout the rest of the series. And what I mean by that is all the emotions that happen at the end of The Last of Us, the game, this entire sequence heightens all those feelings. And because we've gotten so little, not little, like it's been there, but not as much of Ellie and Joel throughout the runtime of this TV show that we got in the game, because you spend every single waking moment with them, they focus, almost 2 entire episodes on characters not named Joel and Ellie. So that's, 2 out of 9. I don't even know what that percentage is, something like 20%. So you spend 20% of the show's runtime away from Joel and Ellie, probably a lot more. It just feels hollow, man. Like the ending of this show and the emotional weight that the game was able to put onto its players while watching the show, it just felt hollow. It didn't feel like it was a complete story. It didn't feel like we spent enough time with Joel and Ellie to really make this ending and this decision that Joel has to make really come true in anything close to the same way that it does in the game. I mean, you remember, well, no, you don't remember in 2013 because you didn't play it till
did play a little bit on the
Well,
PS3.
you didn't play it to the end till last year, but like,
No, yeah, I got to like literally the tower.
yeah,
Not the tower, the like the very intro part where you go to the two buildings that are crashing into each other,
okay.
basically.
So yeah, you played
Yeah.
the pretty much the first like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I mean, there were people desperately asking Naughty Dog that we could have made a decision because it's such a split decision on what Joel does in the game and what he does, if it's the right thing or not. And that's a decision that weighs so heavily on players that they don't get to make. They're just viewing it. It was one of the few times that people really, really wanted Naughty Dog to have some kind of decision and like to put in a second ending. And they were just like, yeah, we're not doing that, which good thing they're not, because that would be terrible. But I just don't feel like the full weight of that decision that Joel makes is here in this episode because of what comes before, because of how much time they spent building up and detailing characters that don't matter for this entire show. Is this decision, this ending, this entire story is building to this absolutely bombshell of an ending sequence in the game and in the show. And I just think, like we've talked about time and time again, this show spends way too much time away from the characters to make this ending really land the way that it should land. And that's my overall opinion. But on this episode, I thought this episode was actually really freaking good. I thought, again, it's a shot-for-shot remake at points in time. That conversation we got between Joel and Ellie, I think we should have got that tenfold throughout the entirety of the show. That's what the show should have been, is them walking, talking, and having these conversations and getting to know each other on a deeper level. We didn't get that, however, but if we're strictly talking about the ending of the show, or the ending, sorry, this episode, I thought overall this is a really, really great episode. Probably one of my favorites. It just feels hollow because of everything else that happened.
Yeah, and that's it just I really did like this episode too. I especially again love the fact that we finally get Joel as a badass, and I kind of get why, sort of, that they wanted to hold off his how badass he can be until the last episode, but I personally prefer how they did it in the game, because and what makes even like less sense about the way that they did this is the fact that throughout the show, constantly you have some characters that he's already met before act like he's the most badass of badass dudes. Even in that first episode, the first thing they do when they meet Marlene, she's like, "Oh yeah, this guy's done some bad things." You don't get that throughout this entire show, and he's like this basically push around, weak, scaredy cat guy, and it's so different than what everybody keeps explaining about him. And then you finally get to this last episode, and I feel like we actually get Joel for the first time. And I get why they wanted to do it, because they kind of wanted to show that like he keeps failing at protecting people, and now that he's finally about to lose another person, he says, "Fuck it. I'm not allowing this to happen again." So I get that impact, but then maybe you should have changed some of the dialogue at the beginning of the show and maybe not hyped him up as much as everyone did. Because everyone talks about him being this gruesome, getting shit done kind of person. And yes, he got shit done,
even
but
in
he's
this,
not a brutal person.
Yeah, even in this episode, Marlene talks about when they're in the hospital bed, they're like, "Oh, you're the only person that could have done this." I was like, I feel like I could have walked that way. Just saying.
Yeah, like anyone could have done that, because literally he didn't do much.
Yeah, so
and that even sparks an even worse part about this entire show for me. The world. The most important part. The fact that literally there's almost nothing that's that dangerous. At the end of this, I looked at Amy and I said, "What did you think?" She's like, "Where was the zombies?" And I said, "That's right. There were supposed to be zombies in this world." Ever since that second episode where they described why there wasn't a lot of infected on the world, that kind of got me a little afraid. But at that time, I had high hopes. I was at the top of the ceiling. I was like, there's nothing that can go wrong with this. That first episode slapped. It was great. They showed a lot of infected. The intro was very close to what the game did, but they added some new stuff that was fantastic. So I'm like, okay, This is a post-apocalyptic world with what are kind of zombie-like creatures, are humanoid things, that have these plants in them. And you barely see them in this entire show, like at all. They're just roaming around this open area, this world and everything, and you barely see the threat that is supposedly taking over the world. Like, how many times do you see them? How many episodes? You rarely see them.
Well, in the
Also,
last
Raiders, where Marley makes that stupid comment at the end. Oh, when is there going to be an infection that rips her apart, or when is there going to be Raiders? And I'm like, where were they?
Yeah.
Where were the Raiders?
Well, there's definitely
see Raiders in one episode. One. I think, well, technically two, but that second one wasn't about Joel and Ellie. It was about Bill. So you only see Raiders 2 times in the entire show. So you're talking about these threats. You're talking about this world. You're talking about this post-apocalyptic world. And yet this post-apocalyptic world seems like a dream come true. There's nothing. There's almost nothing out there. It's constantly like they could have made scenes about where they ran into some dangers, but they didn't. And that's where it makes this world seem like it's really not that much of a threat.
Yeah, I mean in the final 4 episodes, we get two runners.
Yeah.
We don't get any clickers. We get 1 clicker throughout the entire show. That was in the second.
Which is gross. Like, come on.
Yeah, which is the second
get one
episode.
Bloater.
You only get 1 bloater in the main game too, so that's fair.
Really?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You get a bloater.
Oh no, yeah.
In that scene, you get one in the tunnel, and I believe you get it somewhere else.
Yeah, in the section, leading up
Ellie
to
David.
swimming. So okay, my bad. Yeah, there's definitely a massive lack of infected, which makes me believe that this really should have just been longer. They really should have, if they wanted to expand on it as much as they did, which I think. I don't like the Kansas City expansion as much, but that's a better way to do it than what they did with Bill in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the episode is a beautifully shot episode, and it's a great story. It should have been like a side episode or whatever. We shouldn't have that much time. Anyway, we're getting off track. That's the discussion
wise.
For the
I just wanted to say like this. Yeah, like all this is fantastic cinematography wise. But yeah, like it's just like even Amy, who's not played the games, doesn't even see the threat in this world. That's a failure on their part, in my opinion. They made this world, this post-apocalyptic world. I'm not saying you have to go down all the zombie tropes. You don't have to make all like constant thing, but like. If you're going to make this post-apocalyptic world about this zombie infection, then where are they? Because they have to be a part of it. Walking Dead, I know, honestly, Walking Dead does more of a way of showing that there is a huge threat in this world than this show does. And that's depressing, because this show definitely has some better writing on the way that people, like the story-wise. But yet, you're not showing the threat of the world. So you're trying to build this world with a threat, but there's no threat. So it's not really that scary. Like, you play the game and you're constantly, there's so much like enemies, there's all this. And I'm not saying they had to have a constant action-packed series, but there almost also was barely any action in this show, which I thought was even more weird. Because the whole point of The Last of Us game is dealing with action. It's dealing with Joel being this very brutal person where when shit needs to get done, he gets it done. And that goes all the way back to this new episode where Marlene talks all about how he's this badass dude, but he's not. He's not. Joel is weak as fuck in this show. He barely shows that he is strong enough to do these things. All I got from this show was he was willing to give up at any moment. He only could beat up 1 raider before getting stabbed. Just so many moments. And then you get this last episode and you finally get to see what I've been hoping for this entire series, the season. Not series, I keep calling it series, but season. And you don't get that. And I honestly think that's a huge failure. And then I know, obviously, but the point you brought up too, especially, is another problem. Because, I mean, we've been talking about it with each episode. It's just the fact that they didn't focus on the Joel and Ellie story, where they are more focused on talking about this new stuff. Which, the thing is, if you play the game, maybe it's fine. But maybe for the people that are casually watching this, you don't know the story of Last of Us. So this is your story of Last of Us. given to you through show form, and it's just like you're not getting the Joel and Ellie story. You're not getting the connection, and that's a huge problem. That's a gigantic problem, actually, honestly.
Yeah, I think what I was talking to some people at work about. There's a couple people who have been watching the show pretty much per my recommendation, and they've loved it. So good for them, I guess. But I kind of summed it up, be like, because they asked me, what I overall thought about it, and I was like, I'll say this: if you want the wiki note bullet points of what The Last of Us story is, watch this show. You'll get everything, most things. It doesn't all have the same impact, not anywhere close. But if you want the real story of The Last of Us, play the game. And the question that I posed in the introduction to the episode, is this the perfect example of how important gameplay is to storytelling in video games? Yes. I put that question in for a reason because I had an answer. Like, yes, I think this is a perfect example of going through the motions of playing the game and doing the things that you do in the game heightens everything, especially when talking about The Last of Us. It's probably the best example I can think of out there of how the narrative is backed by what you do in the game, throughout the game, and all that. And I think, like what you're talking about, the lack of action and the lack of threat, it leads to a disservice of one of the main themes of this first season. The main theme is love. Like, we all know that. Neil Druckmann said that time and time again. The main theme of The Last of Us is love, and more importantly, how much are you willing to do for love? But one of the other things was, especially Ellie's character, and it has a huge significance moving into the second season, and she even asked that question in the show, like, it can't all be for nothing, right? And that question comes from everything that they go through in the game, everything that you do in the game, and you go through as a pair. When you get to the end of the game, Ellie believes she's here for a reason, and everything that they've gone to can't have been for nothing. They had to do all that stuff to get to this point. So that question rings super hollow, like I keep saying, like this ending just rings hollow because they just didn't show enough of the hardships that this pair had to go through. I guess they did, but it just all just kind of felt blah. Like, again, they showed the bullet points, They showed, I guess pretty much is only, they showed Tess dying. Yes, they showed the brothers dying. I can never remember the names for some weird reason.
Sam and Henry.
Yeah, Sam and Henry.
Henry and Sam. Henry.
So, like,
sorry, it's weird saying Sam and Henry.
Yeah, you get those two big events, which are the two big events in the game. One of the two.
Oh, and Bill, I forgot. Yeah, Bill too.
But they
not
don't
really. You don't even get the same. You don't even get the same thing from the game. So,
they don't meet Bill, so that means nothing to Ellie. So she didn't have to go through that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, you get the big bullet point moments, but you don't get the individual conflicts that happen in between those moments. You don't get the pure just depravity of this world and them grinding along this trip. You just get a lot of scenes of them walking, and every once in a while they run into some people. And that's why I think overall,
super weird.
Overall, it just rings hollow in comparison to the game from our perspective. I know I've talked to a lot of people out there. Most everyone that I've talked to, in fact, I don't think I've talked to anybody who hasn't liked the show, who hasn't thought it's really good, who hasn't tried to defend it in a way when I bring up points. So they're like, well, they do this and this. I'm like, you can't argue with me. You don't know the other side of the story. It's like, whenever I try to argue, like, the inclusion or disinclusion of some things to Harry Potter, it's like, well, I don't know the books, so I can't really make that argument very well. So I'm telling people out there, quit fucking arguing with me because you don't know the story, damn it. Just listen to what I have to say about it. But, yeah, overall, I just think it's just kind of a hollow effort. And I know that sounds super harsh. Look, I still think the show is great. I think this is a fantastic watch. I know people who haven't played the game absolutely love this. It's a huge success. We're going to get more. But as a fan, as a deep, deep lover of not just The Last of Us video game, but of video games in general, I think this rings a little hollow in comparison. Actually, fairly hollow in comparison.
Yeah, it's really disappointing, but I will say, yeah, like, altogether, I did enjoy myself watching it. I did like it, but it wasn't as great as it could have been, and that's where it really hurts, because it's like, I know I'm not as huge of a fan as Mike here, but I did play it, like last year, I think, and I really loved it, and it made me kind of kind of fall in love with the story. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed just about every minute of it. And so I was really excited for the show. And it's just like, yeah, like I don't, just so many points of like, I don't, it almost seems like, I don't know, like maybe they should have had more guidance, but then the weird thing is they had guidance and it almost seems like the guidance kind of made things a little worse. I don't know. Because Neil Druckmann talks about all of our changes are for good things. It's like, really? Was really Bill a good change? Because in my opinion, no. A lot of, especially in storytelling wise, I don't think it's good because it doesn't. I still think that's probably the worst case of this show because it just doesn't. It has nothing to do with the story. It's just a story that you probably could have just told by itself. No need for the Last of Us story, no nothing. You could probably tell that story by itself and it's fantastic. But as a connection to the story that you were trying to tell, it's the worst episode of this entire show. Because it has nothing to do with Joel and Ellie, which is literally the whole point of the show. That's the first thing you get on the first episode. That is the start of this thing. It is the setup to what is the full story of this entire season. And yet, that third episode is like a screeching halt to the story. And honestly, I think truly was the big reason that killed completely the flow of the story, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
it
is.
It was so like it killed everything.
Yeah.
And then you got 4 and 5 that made it even worse, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, it had a lot of good moments. I think even 5 especially had better moments. But again, they decided to focus on this random ass woman that literally, by the way, isn't in the game, and about this dumb little hate story that has probably one of the worst and dumb endings to that little arc, as I would say, in the 2 episodes. And again, you're taking so much time away from Joel and Ellie's story to focus on these dumb stories that you're trying to tell that have nothing to do with the story. Like, why don't you just make like a Walking Dead webisodes kind of thing then? If you want to tell these weird stories, then make Walking Dead webisodes, but call them Last of Us webisodes. Bam! There you go. Do that as a side thing, not as a main thing.
Here we go. You give them 12 episodes. All right? You have episode 3. You can keep it the exact same. Episode 4 is Joel and Ellie meeting Bill, them going through, them getting the car, them doing all that things, and you get a greater understanding of their relationship and how, Ellie is with other people in this world. You can keep 4 and 5 if you want, because I think in the context of a longer season, those play fairly well. And then, so that would be in this scenario, that would be 5 and 6. And now you have 6 episodes left to tell the rest of this story, to detail out their march through the western United States and all the trials and tribulations that they run into leading up into meeting David and doing all that. You have so much more breadth just in the context of 3 more episodes. We're talking about, 2 more hours of television, if you want, well, let's say 2.5 more hours of television. I think pacing it out like that, you can keep all your expansions that you want, and I just think it plays better if you still give you the Joel and Ellie story. But it's just, it's just not here, man. And like, I even forgot episode 7 for how good episode 7 is. It's still not focused on Joel and Ellie. So we have 3 full episodes of this 9-episode season that aren't about the main characters, which then leads to you at the end of the show, which is supposed to all be about this decision that Joel makes. And the show has to back up that decision and give you reasons why you can either understand it or disagree with it. That's the main point of this story. And it's just not there because you spend 33% of the show away from the main characters. And that's at the bare minimum of just episodes, You spend a lot more time individual in those episodes. So I would say you spend probably close to 40% of this show not with Joel and Ellie.
Yeah,
and that's just not a good decision. Like,
it's really not. And that's, again, that it really hurts the show. But again, I don't know. I don't have the mindset of also not playing the games, but man, it's still from playing the game, which I personally think is a much better telling, and clearly because it's the original, but also in general is a better telling of what the whole plot of the story is supposed to be around, which is Joel and Ellie, and and that's what this fails at. I think it really does fail the fact that in two standards, it fails the Joel and Ellie story, and it fails building this world that is supposed to be a threat and dark and dangerous, and you don't get that. You just don't. You don't get that. And you could fight me all day, but let's be honest, guys. Where the fuck were the infected? Where were the threats the entire time? I felt like I was playing in D&D, where when they walk down the street, they'll roll a dice like, oh, looks like you're running into some raiders. Well, okay. Oh, going down this street, let's roll some dice. What are you going to run into? One runner. It's just so weird because especially that first episode where they build up this threat.
The first two,
even yeah, first two.
First two episodes are fucking fantastic, dude. The first two episodes of this season are absolutely incredible, and I even do like the ending of this series. Like, you know, I think episode 6 is good, 7 is really good, you know, and just storytelling is not great from a Joel and Ellie perspective. 8, I think, is great. I think 9, taken by itself, is amazing. It's just, man, 3, 4, and 5 destroyed what this story is supposed to be about, you know?
Yeah, and it's just such a slog, too. Especially, you gotta think, people are watching these episodes one after another, once a week. You know, and that's 3 weeks people had to go through of basically slowing down this slog of a story and then finally getting to that next episode and you're like, oh, okay, finally we're getting back to the actual plot. We're actually focusing on what this entire show is about. It's just, it sucks because I wanted this show to be the guiding light to all these gaming things that are making these adaptations. And I will admit, a lot of the scenes that they did and they redid are phenomenal. And some of the changes are for the good. You know, like the whole test situation I think was better and well done compared to the game because in the game it didn't make any sense. I think when they go instead of going to the dam and going to the city, and instead of them for some reason having to fight through some raiders to get to Ellie because she somehow rode her horse through them and they didn't seem to care about her. I think that is a lot better too because it just didn't make any sense. There are things in this that they changed that I do like, but then there's some really big changes that they made that they really just didn't need to do at all. They say in these stupid little interviews at the end where they're like, "Oh, all the changes we made, guys, are for the better." And no, they're not, because you made some really big changes to characters.
Okay. To be fair, what do you want him to say? But like, hey, we made this huge change and it really fucked the story up. But here you go. Yeah. Like, what do you want him to say?
I don't know. Just stop lying to us. You change the story because you wanted to change it, not because it's for the better.
You get Craig Mazan or Malzahn up there, he was like, yeah, you know, we changed some stuff. None of it's really good, but we did it anyway. So
yeah,
that'd be fucking hysterical. What are you doing to my freaking script? I didn't mean to
change that. I'm sorry. Yeah. God damn it.
All right, anyway, I do want to focus back up on the finale. We are going to do a complete review and spoiler talk with the other gentlemen of the Experience Point, one of which has not played the game, so that'll be interesting talk to get
I'm curious to
get his perspective. Yeah, he has. I asked him; he's not fully done with it yet, but when he's done, we'll all sit down and we'll record a full-on review with all of us here. Worthy's played the game, but he's not as critical as we are normally of things. So we're definitely the more critical of our group here. But I did want to say, to wrap things up, I do still think the finale is, taken by itself, a really, really good adaptation of what happens in the game. And again, the additions that they make are smart. They have a whole conversation that was built up through the show about Joel's scar, and they give a reasoning for that scar. And that reasoning is, I think, really good and really impactful for Joel's mindset before this show starts. And, you know, he has that line, sorry, for people who didn't watch the episode, spoiler alert, Joel tried to kill himself and he failed. And, you know, Ellie makes the comment of time heals all wounds, and then Joel turns to her and says, it wasn't time. And that is probably the best relationship building and the best, setup for Joel's for how he thinks going into the final set piece of this and his decision that he makes at the end of the show, that he needs Ellie. He loves her. She has to be in his life. He can't, without any decision, lose Ellie as well, because he already tried to take himself out once. If he loses Ellie, it's over. It can't happen in his mind. And I think that's a really great change, or not a really change, it's a really great expansion of what happened in the show, and leads you to understand as an audience member why he makes the decision that he makes. But like I said, all those changes and how good episode 8 or 9 were ring so hollow because of the rest of the season's derailment of the relationship in a way. So that's all I gotta say, I guess. I'm kind of done. Not in a bad way. Again, I still, like we talked about, I still really enjoyed the show. I just really like this story, and I think the actors and actress do a good job. I still don't love Ellie. I still don't. I mean, I do love Ellie. I don't love this Ellie as much as I do in the game. Anywhere close. I thought she did a fine job, but I don't think she's anywhere close to as good as people are saying out there. However, Pedro Pascal, he's the man. I just wish he had more to do in this.
Yes.
All right. Anything else you want to say? Did you like that little change in that story of what happens with Joel after his daughter dies?
Yes. Yeah. Again, these little touches like that are great. I have no problem with that stuff. I'm not having any but yeah. I do still like the last episode though, and I think that's honestly probably the most exciting episode in a way, I guess, in how you look at it. I mean, yeah, it's kind of messed up what happens, but it was just cool to see a badass Joel. And man, was that scene so fucking cool. But other than that, I still recommend the show to people. I do think it's a good show by itself. I do think it's enjoyable, and I can't say I hated my time watching it.
Oh,
But,
I didn't hate any of it. I was just
oh yeah,
I
yeah.
was just hypercritical of it because it's something
Oh,
that I
that's what I mean
love.
too. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like I've been talking big smack about it, but that doesn't mean I can't recommend this to people. I mean, I've tried to even recommend it to my parents to watch. My mom supposedly didn't like it, which sucks because I wanted to see their opinions on it, but they didn't seem to get into it as I did. I'm waiting for my brother to watch it and hear his opinion on it. But other than that, yeah,
One
we'll be
last
getting to our review on it
Yeah.
at some point.
One last
But what up?
thing before I ask you this little question right here and we talk about it. I did find something funny out on the interwebs. I think it was No, it wasn't IGN. Maybe it was Kotaku. One of the video game media sites ran a funny story, and it says the New York Times posted an article talking about the ending of The Last of Us 10 years after it happens. And I thought it was funny. Because, like, those non-gaming media sources, they don't talk about games. So the fact that the New York Times posted an article talking about the ending of the show and the decision that's made, the decision that Joel makes and how impactful it can or can't be, I thought it was funny that they were a decade late. So
Yes, yeah.
that's just a funny little thing that I read, and I enjoyed that. But all right, before we move on to Around the Point, I did want to throw a question out here and get your opinions on it. So now that the show's over, this was hyped up as probably one of the best, or going to be one of the best video game adaptations we've ever got. I still think it is. It's just not as good as I wanted it to be. But I did want to ask, can any of the upcoming adaptations that we know are happening do better, or is this going to end up being the highest quality adaptation that we get as a gaming community that we should hope for, or should we just, after this, after some of the missteps that The Last of Us has taken in terms of adaptation wise, are some of these other things going to be more mindful of how they adapt their stories and their characters? So do you think this is the best we're going to get in the highest quality adaptation we can get, or do you think there is a hope or a chance for something else out there to come along and dethrone, I guess, quote unquote, The Last of Us as the number one adaptation?
I personally think that first thing first, do better. Um, I do think these upcoming adaptations are going to be looking at this show, kind of looking up to it because obviously I do believe this is easily probably the best adaptation from video game to show I think I've ever seen. Um, Even though it has its flaws, I do think it does an insanely good job of at least adapting most of what we've seen, and it's better than like actually just about any other adaptation I've ever seen, in my opinion. And I'm kind of hoping that some of these other adaptations are going to look up to this, especially with how insanely popular this is, and especially something we're going to be talking about later, where it's about to overrule something that is already insanely popular. And the fact that it's going to overrule that will even put more eyes on this show, and maybe have a lot of these adaptations actually look at it and be like, huh, they're really doing something here. Maybe we should take some pointers from that, and maybe just maybe work with the people that I actually made the original IPs, and maybe adapt some of the stuff that, kind of work with them, to kind of find ways to better adapt what they're making on TV. So I think, I hope, that there might be another great one soon to come. But it really just depends. I think maybe God of War could, and maybe Horizon, if Sony allows, or it's more the developers, allow some of the directors to kind of sort of work with these directors. Because it's really, I think the reason why Last of Us is as close to as good as we would hope it to be, it's still not there yet. Still not the perfect adaptation that we were wanting. And obviously, it's never going to be exact one for one. They're not going to do gameplay and watch Joel crawl around and grab a fucking can off of a thing. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's more that, like, you hit all the points, you keep the story a lot like it was in the game. And again, this is still the best of the best, in my opinion. But I do think the reason why it is the way it is because they have the director with them, working with them. They have two directors working together. They not only have an actual TV director, but then they have, the man himself who helped with Last of Us 1 and mainly made Last of Us 2. Not to give him any praise for that. But
I'll give him the
I
praise.
think
Don't worry.
I won't. But I do think that helped make this as good as it was. So if the TV directors don't do this, then honestly, I don't think we are going to get to this quality. But who knows? Maybe the director is such a fanboy for what they're making, they could make a very good adaptation. But as we've seen through how many years now, and all the adaptations that we've seen, I don't think many people actually really have. They seem to not know anything about video games or even what they're making about. Like for example, The Witcher and all that. We have directors that don't even care about the franchise making shows about it. So it really just depends. So I'll say yes in the future, but that future could be for my entire lifetime. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is the best we're ever gonna get, but I think it'll always be up there in people's minds as
One of the better ones.
yeah, one of the better ones. Mostly because I just think the story of The Last of Us and what type of game The Last of Us is leads itself to TV adaptation so well and so uniformly. Like the game itself, this hyper linear narrative driven game is the easiest thing to adapt in a way. Like you talked about God of War, and I think God of War has a good chance, but something like Horizon, which I think has an incredible narrative, I still don't see how you fully adapt that into a TV show. Something even more I have no clue is something like Fallout. Like how do you adapt that?
Fallout, they could do it. Honestly, Fallout could be pretty easy because the thing is, Fallout is always something different in different areas of the world. And I feel like as long as you keep the world in this kind of in the lore correct, and you make a fascinating story within that element, within those elements itself, I think Fallout could be a very good one because open they have a lot of openness with their creativity on how they want to make it. And I think that kind of helps it because then they can make whatever they want, but obviously keep it within the lore and that. Obviously, we've seen some other shows that have had some openness and, like Halo, but we've seen what happened there. But I'm just going to say I think Fallout gets even obviously it's way more openness than that does, and obviously you can make whatever character you want within that world to spark this story that you want to tell within this universe. And I think Fallout probably has the best chance because it's going to be again you can make it whatever you want in that world. I kind of hope they don't just retell what we already know. I'd rather honestly see something new within the universe of Fallout, but done on television.
Yeah, I think one we're sleeping on, and I always forget about it, is I think Mass Effect has a great chance of being
That too.
absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. So, all right, but I guess we'll see. I think there is hope, but I don't know truly if anything can top it. Because, like I said, we may have a lot of criticism. I have a lot of criticisms about this show, but overall, in terms of getting the story out there and getting it to an entire group of people who have never played the game and probably never will, I think this is a very, very, very high quality adaptation. It's just not, I think, for me personally, I just don't think it really nailed it home. I think there's quite a few flaws, but for like I said, everyone I've talked to, there's not a single one of them dislike it. So we are definitely on the outcrop of that. All right. If there's anything, let me back up and try that one again.
That is fair.
If you don't have anything else to say, how about we keep it moving here?
Yep. I'm
All
ready.
right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, down below, let us know overall what you thought of The Last of Us, especially on this finale, and stay tuned to the Experience Point channel before we bring you the review of The Last of Us on HBO. It'll actually be our first TV review, first full-scale TV review. We have our impressions and everything. This will be our first individual episode, so look forward to that. We're going to go now to Around the Point, where we here at the Experience Point go around the video game world and give you the news that you need to know about. Continuing on with The Last of Us on HBO, we have updated viewerships for the season finale, and it just barely missed out on beating Game of Thrones, which is wild. According to the HBO parent company Warner Brothers Discovery, the 9th and final episode, titled Look for the Light, debuted at 8.2 million million views for its initial airing across HBO Max and linear television cast. These are the highest rated numbers for the first airing of an episode in the series, breaking the 8.1 million reached by the previous episode. And if you're looking at these, if you're paying attention, each and every episode went up every single episode, leading to that 8.2 million viewership at the end, which just barely misses out on the House of the Dragon. I think premiere. I don't think it ever got better than the premiere. No, 10.2 million for the first episode. Sorry, the second episode of House of the Dragon. So The Last of Us is right there, and you would have to think when season 2 debuts, it was going to be another huge viewership. So to talk about something in the same breath as Game of Thrones and things linked to that, this measly video game adaptation, I think, is clearly a rousing success for HBO and the video game industry as a whole. So what do you think, man?
Well, did I not even pick up any of that noise? I'm about to be really disappointed. I tried to crack. I literally cracked a can open right next to the mic.
Oh,
and
no.
It didn't pick it up
No.
at all.
Which is, I was very confused because I was like,
the sadness in me right now. I
was like, is he not there anymore?
was
I was
trying to
like,
give everybody a satisfying crack open, but
okay.
freaking Discord must be so good it didn't pick it up when I literally had it right next to the mic. Damn it. Okay, well, with that sadness over.
All right, here, I got this. Crack.
Wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, what do you got?
Yum. Okay. Well, this is pretty wild to hear that it got that close to the Game of Thrones, or well, the House of Dragons numbers. Like, that's very insane because again, this is like literally a whole brand new thing technically for HBO, and for it to get as close to House of Dragons, which is already a a series that people know about, which is the Game of Thrones and all that, is honestly just kind of mind blowing. And I'm very happy about this too, because this is great. Because honestly, again, this shows that if people are willing to put the effort forward to make a very good adaptation for video games, it can become insanely popular. And I think Last of Us is a very good example of that. I mean, it does help that also Last of Us has a very, very good story by itself, even if you didn't play the game. If you probably like watched all of it or anything, it's still a fantastic story. So, literally, that's another reason. But still, the fact that this is brand new and it's up there with Game of Thrones, that's pretty wild. That's cool.
All right, before we move on, let's see if it works for me. You ready? It got mine. Haha.
I didn't hear it on my end.
Oh, well, I was paying attention to the audio levels, and the computer heard it, but
Yeah,
so-
I swear Discord. All right, you know what? When you sit down Discord, why do you hate cans opening?
well, it's
I've
just
done it before, and
honestly,
now it's not working.
it's just the noise suppression. Apparently, it works really well.
Yeah,
But
even with cans right next to the freaking mic.
yeah, I had
How
mine
dare you
held.
make such a good noise suppression? That
Yeah,
you
I had
get
mine right up
cans
against
to
it.
not-
So, all right,
Oh well, what are you drinking by the way? What are you drinking? Let's
Just-
get them.
just Mountain Dew Zero.
Oh really? Okay.
Pretty much the only thing I ever drink. Outside
That's
of water,
fair.
obviously. I would drink a lot of water, but like when I'm drinking a soda, it's normally Mountain Dew Zero. Every once in a while, I get a little spicy with it and drink some Dr. Pepper Zero. But that's really only when Peyton buys it. But then she normally yells at me because she's like, "That's my soda."
You drink? Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, our next story is actually an update from last week. If you listened to last week's episode, you know we reported on we read the report on the Suicide Squad delay that happened after what can only be described as pretty much of a train wreck of the gameplay demo. Now we have an update, apparently. So on Thursday, as we talked about last week, a Bloomberg source claimed Warner has decided to push the title from its previously announced May release date to the second half of 2023. Following that report, which Warner has yet to officially comment on, Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb said a reliable source had told him that Rocksteady's games may not even arrive until next year. This is what he had to say talking on his podcast. He says, "I don't want to cause a panic or anything, but I've heard it's not even coming this year. I'm hearing 2024. Earlier this evening, I heard they're like, this is a delay-ass delay. Like, this is a bigger delay than is even being put out there." He added, "This stuff is hard to nail down for sure. I'll say that this source has always been a good one." And that was the end of his comment. So, this is something we talked about last week, as the delay came shortly after the gameplay demo that they had on the PlayStation State of Play. And we talked about how they would need a substantially longer delay if they actually wanted to go in and fix and change what the game was. Now, I'm not saying that's what this delay is, but if it is delayed out of 2023 and it is arriving sometime next year, that's a substantial enough delay in my mind to change certain aspects. Now, it's not enough to change, what the gameplay is or anything like that. You would need an entire reboot on that. If that were to happen, we'd be talking about we'd be talking about Skull and Bones again. But if this is delayed out of this year completely, and they are looking at another year or so plus to get this game to market, that's enough time to change quite a bit of this game. So what do you think's going on here? Do you think this delay is real, or do you think it just comes out however it is and they deal with it like that?
To fix what they have, man, I feel like they're gonna need more than a year. I'm surprised that they're gonna delay it if they do. Like, so it's not confirmed, right? This is all.
No, none of this is confirmed, but Jeff Grubb,
Yeah.
he's been in the games industry for a long time. The fact that he says he got this from a source that is usually right, to me at least, leads some credence to his comment. Again, Warner's isn't going to say anything until they're sure. They're not going to come right out and be like, "Oh, yep, you got it." Like, they're going to, if this is delayed out of this year, it won't come until much, much later. That we know that. But, this is a fairly prominent person in the video game industry, so I thought it was relative enough to talk about here. So, because we usually don't comment too much on rumor and conjecture, but this one felt a little bit more than that, because it does it did lead something to the way we talked about it last week, whereas the delay from Warner felt like a response to the gameplay demo. And we talked about it, that we just didn't think that was enough time to change things. But if it is a more significant delay, do you think there's enough time for them to make some sort of substantial change to what this game is?
I don't know about substantial, but I do feel like they can make maybe they could change. I don't even think a year would be enough, man, to really like completely change what they've made. Like they're going to need like a couple years to really fix what they've already made, because the inherently, to probably, if they want to take out all the looter shooter stuff, they want to take all that monetization based crap out of there. They're dude, that's gonna take like 2 years, probably more than that. So I feel like they may make some slight changes around. They may, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna completely change how the characters play. They may try to tone down the amount of microtransactions and monetization that they're gonna be putting into it, and maybe also tweak enemy variety, possibly maybe tweak the some aspects of combat. But there's just no way, even if it's a year, there's no way that's gonna be substantial. I mean, they've already put this many years into this game. It would take them like 3 years to completely switch around what they've already made, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean,
So no.
like, well, yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't think a year is long enough to change what the game is at its core, but I think a year is long enough to change the things that are around the main game. You know, like you said, the microtransactions, the battle pass, the way the game is designed to work, I think can be changed and modified in that time. I don't think you're going to get, let's say in February of 2024, you're going to get a new reveal of the brand new Suicide Squad. And it's massively. That's not enough time. That's not how game development works. They've been working on this game for a while. I mean, the last game they put out was 2015. Granted, we know there was a canceled Superman game in the middle of that, so who knows exactly how long they've been working on Suicide Squad, but it's been a significant time period. So,
It'd be pretty funny is if that canceled Superman game, they just literally used the model from that game and put it in this game.
just completely changed Suicide Squad.
Yeah, yeah.
They just come out next year and be like, by the way, here's a new game. We'll come back in 2026. We're like, all right, cool. So we'll just not get Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I would like that because I don't think this game looks great. But yeah, no, I think you are right that it's just not enough time to change what the game is as its core. But like I said, I think it is enough time to change some of the aspects that people were worried about. But I still just think the game doesn't look like fun from like a gameplay perspective.
No.
So it's not going to change my mind, but it might change other people's minds out there. All right. Speaking of changing people's minds, I'm just kidding. That segue has no relevance to what we're going to talk about next. Number 3 on Around the Point, Naughty Dog has in fact chosen its next game and has selected the Vice President Neil Druckmann, appearing on a Kinda Funny spoiler cast for The Last of Us on HBO, confirmed the first-party developer has already decided what its next PS5 project is going to be. And while he couldn't reveal what it is, obviously, he explained that the team selected the title that it was collectively most excited about. Further on in the interview, he explained that Naughty Dog has indeed been restructured to allow it to develop more than one title at a time, which is evident by the fact that it released The Last of Us Part 1 last year and has a standalone multiplayer game in development as well that will eventually see the light of day. He added that the studio now has a large number of producers, game directors, and writers, allowing it to be more organized. Druckmann wouldn't confirm whether the team's next game will be The Last of Us Part 3 or not, but he did acknowledge the pent-up demand for a third game, and given the colossal success of the TV show, it's hard to imagine anything else at this point. And being a huge Naughty Dog fan that I am, I just want to get my thoughts out there. Please don't make The Last of Us Part 3 your next game. If you want to make The Last of Us Part 3, do it later down the road. I don't want it. I don't need it. I want something new from them. The last time they made a brand new IP was The Last of Us. That was 10 years ago at this point. I want to see something new from this studio. I want them to stretch the creative legs, not be tied down with the things that they've been working on for the past decade plus. I want them to do something fun and exciting that they want to do. And I guess if that fun and exciting thing is The Last of Us Part 3, if that's what they want to do, then fine. But I would personally, as a huge fan of this studio, rather see them come out with something wholly new and original and give Sony yet another IP that they can work with. What do you think?
Um, yeah, that would be pretty cool. I mean, I would totally be down for something brand new. But I don't know, man. They're riding that money bandwagon right now. They got the freaking show doing absolutely amazing. They have both those games, which did probably commercially insanely well. And hopefully this year, hopefully, I'm gonna assume this year, The Last of Us multiplayer will be coming out, which is supposed to be a full-fledged thing. And I don't know, but I feel like if anything, I don't know, man. I don't know where they're gonna go because all PS4 generation they didn't make any new games. They just made Uncharted and they made Last of Us. And I know technically that was just the ending of Uncharted, but they kind of also piqued an interest of maybe making a different kind of Uncharted with different people. So I don't know. I would love to see something new, but I feel like they have two top dog, haha, get it, Naughty Dog, um, games, and I feel like if anything, they're probably gonna focus on maybe a new Uncharted, but it's gonna be different. Maybe. I don't
I
know.
I don't
I would
see
hope not. I
I,
would rather something new, but who knows?
I don't see The Last of Us. I'm sorry, I don't see Naughty Dog making a new Uncharted. Everything they've talked about, they actually announced, I think, that they are done with Uncharted, so they are not making that. If another Uncharted comes, it'll be from one of the other studios in Sony's pantheon. One thing that I can't take fully credit for, I read it in the comments of this article, but we did hear and we actually reported on it. The Visual Arts Studio that announced that they are working in conjecture with Naughty Dog on a upcoming game, an existing IP within the Sony staple, and most of us just
Jack
assumed,
Dexter.
yeah, just assumed that
Yeah.
that was Uncharted or something. But he did put forth, we did hear that Blue Point is also making something brand new for them. They did not confirm that it was a new IP. So what if this happens? What if Naughty Dog right now is working on their new IP? We talked about the rumor a while ago at this point. It was probably 20 episodes or so ago that there's a new fantasy style narrative game that Naughty Dog was rumored to be working on. What if they are working on that? The Visual Arts Studio isn't working on Uncharted. They are in fact working on The Last of Us Part 3, and Blue Point is in fact working on the next Uncharted. Since they have a history with the series doing some of the ports and the remasters, they know those characters and they know that world a little bit more than the Visual Arts Studio would. What if pretty much Naughty Dog has moved on and given their franchises to other studios within the Sony staple? I think that would be a really smart move for Sony to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, I don't know. I It'd be cool. I think honestly the biggest thing right now is more just I want to see that Last of Us multiplayer. Just want to see like anything about it this year. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I come from this as the reason I love the PS4 generation so much is because we did get a lot of new stuff from Sony. And, well, see, I was about to say we haven't done it for PS5, but we did. We got Returnal, we're getting Wolverine. Um, you know, in 2020, we got Ghost of Tsushima. We're probably going to get another one. So we have gotten new IPs. I don't know. I just always consistently want Sony to make new stuff and make it just absolute banger after banger. So they just have this huge portfolio of things they can go back to whenever they want. Like they can go back in 2035 and announce, The Last of Us Part 3, and people will be like, "Oh shit, it's coming back. That's amazing." I don't know. I just want that for them, I guess. But they have to have that staple of franchises in order to be able to go back and pull from their past. But like we all know, Sony doesn't pull from them past too much. They like to move on. It's the reason why we haven't gotten a new Jack and Daxter or a new a lot of stuff. There's a lot of Sony franchises that they've kind of left in the past with a few of them they keep making, like your God of Wars and like your Ratchet and Clanks. They hold on to some of them, but they're usually fairly decent at moving on to new things. So I think it's time for Naughty Dog to make something
Or
brand new.
wait a minute,
Go ahead.
I have an idea. What if they're trying to do the Uncharted 4 kind of thing, where their next game will be Last of Us Part 3, but that way they can finish off the series and then work on a new IP. Kind of like what they did with they finish Uncharted, so they can finally get that done and over with. And then they went to Last of Us Part 2. And then maybe Last of Us now is kind of like the new Uncharted, where they're going to try to finish Last of Us, but then also make a new IP.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just
Because they
want.
might as well ride the bandwagon now.
Yeah, I
Last
get
of
it.
Us is at its high right now.
I mean, we're
so you might
probably
as well finish it and then make a new IP from there.
Yeah, I get, and I would say we're probably 70% going to get a new Last of Us from them. I want something. I want something different because games take so long to develop now. If we are getting the Last of Us Part 3 from them next, it's still we're 6-7 years away from a new IP for them, and then we're looking at almost 2 decades since Naughty Dog made anything wholly original, and to me that just seems a little long in the tooth, you know. I
Yeah.
want them to be able to make the game that they want to make. But like I said, if that game is The Last of Us Part 3, then obviously I want them to make the game, like I said, that they want to make. So if it is that, then knock your socks off, man. I don't care. So, but I hope for something different. I just want to get my point out there. All
I
right.
think in the future there will be, but who knows?
All right. Number 4 on Around the Point, our last little PlayStation update for you. There was a lot of PlayStation news out there. I tried to find a whole bunch of stuff, but there wasn't a whole lot. So, like we do a lot of times, we update you on some of the games coming to the extra and premium tiers, which I just realized I forgot to add the Game Pass games. So, if you want to look those up for March for me while I read this list out, that would be greatly appreciated. So, anyway, the PlayStation Extra games that you're going to get for March of 2023 are next week. Chia comes out day and date on PlayStation Plus, the cozy little adventure game that we saw at the showcase last year. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection on PS5, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Rainbow Six Extraction, Ghostwire Tokyo, Life is Strange True Colors, and Life is Strange 2. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Street Fighter V Champion Edition, Untitled Goose Game, Final Fantasy Type 0, Rage 2, Neo The World Ends With You, and Haven. All those games will be coming to you next week on the PlayStation Plus Extra tier. For premium this week, you get three more classic games, those being Ridge Racer Type 4, Ape Academy 2, and Siphon Filter Dark Mirror. The following two, those being PSP games. And there is your month for March of 2023 for PlayStation Plus Extra. I think it's another great year for PlayStation Plus. I think it's another great year, a great month for Extra. Chia coming day and date. I know there's probably not a whole lot of people are excited about it, but I like some of those smaller games. Probably going to download it, jump in, see what it is next week. And then Ghostwire Tokyo coming to PlayStation Plus after its release last year. I believe it's also coming to Game Pass same day. So Logan will let me know if he is looking that stuff up right now. And some of these other things are simply just good games, you know. Immortals Phoenix Rising, probably the last decent game that Ubisoft made. And I love Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I got the platinum in that game. So if you guys like Dragon Ball Z out there, go in and jump in that game. And I've been looking to play Life is Strange True Colors, and now I don't have to pay it. So, Mr. Birdman, did you look up the list of Xbox Game Pass games for me or not?
I did,
Okay,
yes.
what do we got this month?
So a lot of them have kind of already come out, but I'll go through it real quick. F1 22 came out March 2nd, console and PC. Wolong Fallen Dynasty, March 3rd, console, PC, cloud. And then we got Guilty Gear Strive, which was March 7th, console, PC, cloud. And then we got Dead Space 2 and 3 classics on March 9th. Both just, I don't know why they said they had to announce that, but they're just basically being put on the cloud. Valheim, which I forgot to put on here. I actually started playing that. Came to game preview on March 14th, which was not too long ago. I actually played that, and I gotta say, kind of fun. It's really cool. It's got a very interesting, low poly looking graphics, but it's actually really really fun. But March 16th, we had Sid Meier's Civilization 7. No, 6. I can't count.
That's 4.
6 March.
That's
what?
4, but that's okay.
VI?
IV, but that's okay.
No, it's VI. It literally shows VI. What are you talking about?
On my screen, it's IV. Are you sure? I pulled up the same link. I put up the same link that you sent me.
V and I.
Bro, no, I'm taking a screenshot of this and sending it to you.
I literally think I'm telling you, dude.
I'm sending you this fucking screenshot.
Either that or I'm insane.
You're probably insane, but bro,
no, dude, I promise you.
That's fucking hysterical. Hold on.
Look.
I'm looking. It's IV. Damn it.
It's a V and I for me. Look.
I can't see anything. What do you mean? Look.
The area that I literally
you sent me that. Okay. The phone's a better way to do it. I was doing it on the computer. So
yeah.
Bro, it is VI. No way, dude. Okay. This is fucking wild. Because look at this shit. The same link that you sent me, I clicked on. It is fucking IV. So I don't know which one it is, but it's one of those two. It's either 4 or 5.
It's either 4 or 6, guys. So, yeah, what?
I clicked on the link that you put on the thing.
That makes no sense. Okay, well, guys, you're either getting 4 or you're getting 6 because I don't know why, but this website is showing something different for both of us, and I don't know how that's possible.
It's got to be 4 because 6 isn't even out yet. They just announced it 2 weeks ago. It has to be 4.
What? I'm telling, dude, dude, this thing is just trying to make me look dumb. Okay, so now I'm kind of scared to say any numbers because who knows if they're right.
Oh, so, that's funny as hell.
Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom, the
Great
Prince
game.
Edition. God, what a name! Is
Great
coming out
game.
March 21st. That's pretty cool looking. I think I might. Well, I'm not gonna be able to try it.
I love Ni no Kuni, so.
But it's coming to console and PC, March 31st. MLB The Show 23 comes out March 28th on console and cloud. I guess not PC. Infinite Guitars comes out March 30th on console and PC. Way to the Woods is coming out sometime in March. It's to be announced. And that comes out on console and PC.
Don't have a lot of time left. No, it comes out on console and to be determined. That's on my screen. What? That's another difference.
Dude, what? I swear. Okay, well, also, I don't know, these are the games that are leaving. Okay, I don't really need to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what's new. A lot of it's kind of already come out. I will say Valheim and Civilization 4, not Civilization 6, but for some reason on my screen it shows Civilization 6, so I don't know. But Civilization 4 and Valheim, I think, are pretty big ones. And, Kuni is also very huge. And then for the people that like baseball and the very okay baseball games I played, the MLB The Show newer ones, that's also awesome to have on console too.
Okay, so I pulled up 2 different websites, and I'm dumb. 7 got announced, so it is 6 coming. Both of the other websites I pulled up had 6.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why the one that you put on the script isn't the one that you were looking at, because that's a weird decision to make if I'm you. But that one is 4. So it is in fact 6 coming. This has got to confuse. I
still don't understand why yours is doing that because I clicked on the one that I gave you.
No, you're on. No, you
didn't.
Wait
a minute.
I don't know what you did, but you added a website that you didn't go to.
What? Okay, well, that is my bad. It is 4, and I'm just dumb, okay?
No,
but still,
no.
Why did that website say 6?
It is 6. I just told you. I checked 2 other websites, and it's
then
Civilization
why is it 4
6.
then?
I'm saying, I don't know why you put the website on the script that you didn't visit.
I don't know. But okay.
that was fucking great. That was fantastic. I loved it. All right, but
But yeah,
anyway,
that's what's coming out this month.
good month from
Yeah.
both of the first party studios. I don't know why I said it that way. The first party publishers that did that. What do you think about the premium games? I know you're just waiting for one premium game and it's not here yet, but Siphon Filter and Ape Academy are both good games, and I love Ridge Racers. So another fine one. I know people out there are still waiting for the big banger to come out. Like I hope it gets here eventually.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I was just asking what you thought about the premium tiers because you've been critical of their premium stuff that they've dropped. So
Um, I mean, yeah, they're good games. I can't really say anything wrong with that. I think this is good to see, at least not PS3 games. I'm happy to actually see games that are actually playable. Um, these PS1 and PSP and all that. I think this is great. I'm still just curious when they're gonna actually add any of their other ones. I would love to see it because again, you own the rights to a lot of games, and yet you keep announcing very strange ones. But I think these ones are way better. I think they're actually starting to announce a little bit more exciting games that actually I think people are looking forward to. So yeah, no, this is I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's good. It's
yeah.
good to see that they're adding 3.
All right. Well, that was pretty much the end of the huge news segment. So I threw in some reactions that Logan and I can do just to fill out the episode. Some would say it's filler, like half of The Last of Us on HBO. So anyway, the first one I want to react to is Atlas Fallen, a game that was announced last year at the Game Awards, or maybe 2 years ago at the Game Awards. I don't remember. But it's a game that piqued my interest. I thought it visually looked impressive. We finally gotten a look at the gameplay and a couple of in-depth previews. I watched mostly the one from SkillUp because I love SkillUp. I'm going to keep talking about SkillUp till the day I die. I think he's one of the better voices in the video game industry and media circuits. So pretty much what I gathered from him is it's another open world game. So it's very much in the style of, some would say, like the old Darksiders games. I don't know if you played those, Logan, but some of those kind of open world Metroidvania style games very much has that same feel and combat to it. But there's a lot of people that are highly critical of this because it's a game from Deck 13. If you don't know who Deck 13 is, they're the guys who originally made Lords of the Fallen. Sorry, Lord of the Fallen. Lords is the new one because it's stupid naming. And then they went on
Yeah.
to make the Surge 1 and 2, which, from what I can gather, people think they're very high quality Soulsborne clones. I don't play them because that's not my style, but I know people like them, and they're a little disappointed that this seems very much like not a Souls game at all. It's more, like I said, in the Darksiders style of open world games. But did you get a chance to look at some of these things? What do you think? I think the movement system looks really cool, and the world design looks pretty cool. Wanting to check it out. Don't know if I get a chance to because it comes out kind of smack dab. It comes out 2 days before Tears of the Kingdom, so they might want to think about moving that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good move at all. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good. I think the world looks a little bland, in my opinion, but I don't know. I think a lot of the areas they're showing is just sand. So I don't know. They didn't really showcase a lot for me to get a good idea of what this game is. It's a lot of like boom, cut gameplay, boom, cut gameplay, boom, cut gameplay. So I'm not really getting a lot from this. It looks very action packed, and I don't know whether it's like you said it's like Darksiders, which I've never played those games, so I don't really know. Um,
Think
I don't know.
think old school God of War combat set in the more traditional open world designs. Pretty much what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks okay. I don't know. It
I
looks like
think.
I've seen this game before.
Oh no, yeah, we have definitely seen this game
Yeah.
5 times before. But like SkillUp was talking about in his preview, and if you want to see more about it, if you are interested about Atlas Fallen, go watch his preview. It's about 20 minutes. You get a lot more visual variety. He shows off some of the forest aspects and some of the more detailedness within the world. But like he was talking about, and open world games are all very similar, but it's that special sauce within them that makes me love them or hate them. Because, for whatever you say, Hogwarts Legacy is like the most open world game of open world games. But that secret sauce, that specialness that I had in me, the design, the feeling of it is what made me play it for 60 plus hours. And then there's other things like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which granted I played it for 90 hours, so I'm being a little bit, hypercritical, but I never want to fucking touch that game ever again. So, and then there's, stuff like, just all the games that we play. It takes something special in the open world genre and the feel of what you play in the game to really hook you and keep you playing throughout of it. And I'm hoping this has it in there. Like I said, probably not going to play it on launch because there's another game I'm going to be playing. They really need to move that launch date, but I hope people who maybe don't have a Switch get a chance to check it out. So I think it, you might actually enjoy it. It's action-based combat. It's fun. It's fluid. And it's just got your regular open world designs. You find your towers, you find your other things, and if it hits, it'll hit, and if it doesn't hit, we all know what it's like when an open world game doesn't hit. It's pretty boring. So, anything else you got?
I heard you say the game.
Sorry, you cut out real bad there. You repeat that.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
By the way, how did that win an Emmy for music?
I know. I have no idea.
That fucking befuddles me.
Assassin's Creed blah.
He says Assassin's Creeds Valhalla.
Valhalla.
All right, let's go on to a game that Logan's more excited about. I'm probably the same excitement level for both of these games, but Redfall had a new story trailer that hit the internet earlier this week. Got a chance to sit down, look at it. Has a bunch of mad science in it, a bunch of cool looking stuff. And every time I see this game, I have the same thought. I don't know why, but I'm just not hugely into it. Like, I don't think anything looks bad. I think it all looks really cool, and the visual design and the artistic design, especially the artistic design behind it, all looks really, really cool. But I just don't know. I just have this feeling that I'm not going to love it. And I can't really give you, an objective reason of why I feel that way. It's just a subjective feeling that I have that it's just not selling me on what it is. I'm probably going to play it because it's Game Pass, so I'll hop on with Logan because it's co-op. We can enjoy that time. But I don't know. What do you think, man?
To be honest, I don't know. I do think this trailer did a better job of making things look a little bit more interesting, but I wouldn't say it completely changed my mind on like what I think. Like, I am excited in a sense that I'm more like I'm interested in playing this game because I do want to give it a try. I've never really played and beat an arcade game. I played Deathloop a bit, but never beat it. I think honestly this even looks a bit more interesting than Deathloop was, and it also just looks really fun to play with a friend. But that's any game. But I do think the combat looks pretty satisfying, and I do think it kind of just, which I gotta say for a lot of people keep having the misconception that this game is Left 4 Dead. It's not. The whole missions layout, the whole way this game is set up, it is not a Left 4 Dead. It's not a linear go through this mission randomly. You'll have like enemies spawning with the Rector system. None of that is in this game. In my opinion, what this game kind of looks like is basically it's kind of like Far Cry is the best way to describe it.
I was going to say something
light.
I was going to say something maybe like obviously this is not the same camera style, but something like Wildlands. It's like an open world game that you can cooperatively I can't talk play through. I think Wildlands, if it was first person, would be like a good comparison to make.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like Far Cry, because you could play with friends in Far Cry.
Yeah, but why would you want
that's
to?
Kind of what
it's Far Cry.
Because it's fun. You get to blow stuff up with friends.
Far Cry 5 may be fun, but
yeah, that's fair. Oh, that's definitely fair. But no, like that's what it kind of reminds me of. So I don't want to be able to get that misconception if you didn't know this already. It's not a Left 4 Dead. Like I've even seen some people I've listened to on some podcasts that I've stopped listening to because they get a lot of stuff wrong. And I mean, I guess we get a lot of stuff wrong too sometimes, but they just say things and act like it's the truth without actually looking it up. And this game is definitely not a Left 4 Dead like it is. Again, the best example I have is just Far Cry because it looks like Far Cry. It's like you get this open world. You could take over these control points that open up a bunch of interesting points around the area. You could take out these areas, which lowers the amount of enemies within that section. You basically take over what is basically outposts. So again, it's like a looter shooter mixed with Far Cry, which I guess is what Far Cry was trying to become in these newer ones. And that's pretty much what I'm getting at it, with a very interesting, cartoony, drawn out style. Not cartoony, but it's more like it's that arcane style. Like if you see other arcane games, that's kind of what like this game is kind of give off, like the way it looks in art design. But yeah, no, I am interested to play this game. I'm happy it's coming to Game Pass day one. So I will for sure probably play it day one because I am interested in it. I'm not a big fan of the fact that it's only online all the time, even if you play alone, single player. I'm not a huge fan of games doing that. I think it's the only reason people find is just so they can cut down on people, pirating the game. But that's just such a dumb reason to make it only online. So I'm not a huge fan of that part, but I'm still interested to play this game. I hope it's fun. I hope it's better than what people expect, but I'm not like as excited as I am for like Starfield or stuff like that. But I am very interested in this game, is to say the least. And I do think this trailer does a better job of showing the combat and stuff, and also kind of putting a little bit of a story in there. So yeah.
I'm genuinely interested. I said there's just something about it which I'm just not sure that I'm gonna love it, but that's what's nice about Game Pass. I can jump in and jump out when I want to. So one thing I did want to say is while we may not be as big as a lot of people out there, we're nowhere close yet. I think we don't really get a lot of stuff wrong. We get predictions wrong per se, but those are predictions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In terms of our reporting of the news and our information about the industry, other than that confusion with Civilization, that was weird. But I don't really think we get a lot of stuff wrong. I think we're fairly knowledgeable, and I hope people like that from us. Okay, patting the back done.
Yes.
Moving on to a last little reaction. This is a game Logan and I have essentially talked shit about since its conception and its announcement. But the Lord of the Rings Gollum got a brand new trailer this week, and I have to say, it doesn't look like a steaming pile of shit.
Wait.
Pause.
I'm trying to watch it.
I was like, pause for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
But I mean, yes, Gollum looks a little weird, and for some reason he has a bowl haircut. I don't know why they decided that was a good idea. Don't know why anyone decided a bowl haircut was a good hairstyle. But human beings have done weirder things before. But I think overall, I mean, Gandalf's in this. I think he doesn't look bad at all. I think visually he looks decent. And from the idea that I got from this trailer, it kind of looks like a stealth-based. So Logan's immediately out, but
I checked that out.
A stealth-based kind of adventure exploration game. And like I said, we've talked a lot of crap on it just because mostly it looked terrible. But now that I don't think visually it looks absolutely bad, like I don't think it looks amazing, but it's definitely not in the bad category for me anymore. I think maybe this game has a shot of being decent, probably at best. Like I don't think it's gonna be a trash pit. Like I know last year when we were doing our predictions, we predicted like a 50s in this game. After seeing that trailer, I don't think this is anywhere near the 50s.
I think it's more like in the 60s.
Yeah, high 60s. High 60s, I think. I'm a little higher than you are, but I think it might do well. At least it looks like it could. It could play like ass, and obviously it's going to get a bad score. Then I don't know. I just know what I saw. But I just wanted to get people out there and let people know if they've been listening to us for a while and they know kind of our criticisms of this game. It doesn't look terrible in my eyes. Again, it doesn't look good. I'm not saying, it's going to dethrone fucking God of War or whatever, but I do think it looks like if you're into the genre that it appears to be, you may find some enjoyment out of this, especially with the world that it's set in. So, have you gotten through it yet? What do you know?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
I'm not seeing what you're seeing with this because this still looks pretty awful to me. It looks like a early PS4 and Xbox One game. maybe even magically end of 360 and PS3, but that's
To
pushing
be
it.
fair, so did
It
Gotham
just
Knights.
that is damn true.
And that still got a 69. So I said high
30
60s.
FPS.
Yeah, at least it's probably running
Yeah.
60. Well, maybe. I guess
Yeah,
I don't want to say
maybe.
that. Yeah.
Well, don't say that. Yeah. Yeah, it looks not as awful as it did, but I wouldn't really say by much. I still think the art design looks a little meh. I still think Gollum looks weird, but I mean, also I don't really care for Gollum, so no matter how detailed or fantastic they made him look, I don't think I'd be excited or interested in playing a game about him. Um, but yeah, it definitely looks like an older game. Looks like they've been developing this game since PS4 and Xbox One came out. That's kind of how it looks to me. Yeah,
Well, they probably
I'm
have,
not
honestly.
as high on it. Yeah, yeah, probably. 'Cause,
Okay.
I mean, it's been delayed to forever.
I'm not high. I said it would get high 60s. It's not like I think this game's going to be great. I just
That's
said
true.
it doesn't look like the
I say
55.
65.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the 55 that we originally thought
Yeah,
it was going to be.
no,
So.
definitely not there. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but well, okay, past one I thought was gonna be that bad, but this one doesn't look like it's gonna be as bad. Again, I give it some points up. I do think it's gonna be better than it originally looked, but I still wouldn't say by a lot. And I agree with you. I think maybe possibly high 60s. I will probably aim in the middle and say 65, possibly.
All right. Well, I'll take it. I think maybe
Yeah,
a
that's
little
fair.
higher. But like I said, it piqued my interest enough to pay attention to how people think about it. Not enough to play it. So, all right, Logan, you can check out for a second because we're gonna go to number 9 on Around the Point. It is more
Yeah.
It is more Final Fantasy 16 talk. I just got a couple things I want to throw at you. Not gonna spend too much time on that. Yoshi P is still making the rounds, doing some interviews, and he has revealed that the game will take players roughly 35 hours to beat the game's story and around 70 to 80 hours to do everything that the game has to offer. And with this interview, he also announced that there will be over 11 hours of cutscenes within the game's story. And I think it's funny, Game Rant ran a story that says it is actually longer than the entirety of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You see what I did with the little ordering thing here? I was doing something here. But yeah, I just want to let people know out there kind of what is going on with Yoshi P and this game if you're excited about it as I am. I just simply can't fucking wait, man. Like I simply am frothing at the mouth waiting for this video game. And like I said, Logan, you can check out because I know you're not excited, even though I do think this I do actually think you would enjoy this game if you gave it a chance. I just don't think you're gonna give it a chance, which is sad. But we all make our own decisions regardless of whether they're right or not.
I will. Yeah. I'll probably try it at some point. Maybe borrow it at some point. But I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot on this because, again, I don't know. The whole Final Fantasy name hasn't really got me by the hold. I haven't really been super excited about any of them. And the one I did play, I barely played because not even I just beat the intro. That's all I did, and I already was checked out on that one. So I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things about this one, and you saying it's kind of like Devil May Cry in a sense because it's made by the people that made the Devil May Cry combat. Um, I'm curious that you say that now, but like I'm still like I don't know. I don't know whether I would like it or not. It's definitely not a game I'll buy day one or who knows when. Probably a borrow kind of thing for me.
Which is fair. I still think you would enjoy it, but yeah, no, I don't expect you to pay for it. But
Yeah.
one little bit of information that matters to us Final Fantasy fans out there. During some of these interviews, Yoshi P says the reason for the length of the cutscenes and the game in general, which isn't even that long of a JRPG, 35, 40 hours is about normal. But he said was to tell a full and complete story. And if that comment doesn't make any sense to why that's important to us, because we all know the last game, Final Fantasy 15, did not tell a full and complete story. You needed a significant amount of outside information. You needed to watch the individual character episodes that debuted on YouTube. You needed to watch the prequel and the the finale movies. They released 2 movies to go alongside with Final Fantasy 15, and then they came out with DLC chapters to further delve into the story that takes place during the game. So that was all terrible. That's very similar to kind of something like Halo 5 did, when you had to, like,
Yeah.
essentially read the entire freaking book series to figure out what the hell was going on there. So that's important to me and to a lot of people out there to know that this game is one complete story with a beginning, middle, and not missing anything out there. And that is the reason why the game is as long as it is, which I said isn't even really that long for a JRPG, but I am so happy. Actually, I think it's kind of on the slim side. 35 hours for a JRPG story. That's kind of on the slim side, honestly. I was talking about Octopath Traveler, and fuck, I may not beat that game before 60-hour mark comes through. So, but like I've always said, like I'll continue to say, this is my single most anticipated game of this year, and I can't wait. All right, final news story before we get into the review segment of this week's episode. Far Cry 5 sees its 5th year anniversary later on in the year, and to coincide with that, old Ubisoft is putting out a next-gen update for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, allowing you to play the game in a native 60 frames a second. So on March 27th, when the game does in fact turn 5, Ubisoft will release the anniversary update, allowing people to enjoy the game in a fresh, smooth...
It's actually already out right now.
Okay, see, I told you. That's what I said.
What?
No,
Is it March 27th?
I know. I was making a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, on the weekend of March 23rd through March 27th, which isn't a weekend at all. That's like 4 days. But do you, Ubisoft, you will be able to play the game for free. So if you have a bunch of time, you can play the game and beat it for free at 60 frames a second. So, Logan, you edit this. What do you want to say?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I actually tried it out because when I came home the other day, I randomly came upon it on a Reddit post. Had no idea that they were doing this, and I think this is pretty cool. Kind of like that Ubisoft has been kind of going back and updating old games. Like they updated Odyssey and Origins for 60 FPS on next gen, and then I know at launch when Xbox Series and the PS5 came out, they even upgraded Breakpoint up to 60, and now they have Far Cry 5, which is, in my opinion, one of the best Far Cry games to ever come out. And I went back the other day to play it at 60, dude, at native, and it's really beautiful and really awesome to play this game at native resolution, like 4K-ish. At 60 is pretty damn awesome. I was actually having a lot of fun doing that. So I kind of like that they're doing this. I really love that they're doing this. It's pretty cool and it's awesome. And I'm happy that they're obviously not trying to charge people money. They're just going back and they're updating these other games. I would love if they did this for Wildlands, but that's a bit of a far fetch. But that would be really cool. But yeah, no, I think this is cool. I mean, I wish another company called Rockstar would do the same thing for a certain other game. The most popular game of almost all time. But yeah, don't update Red Dead Redemption 2. That'd be too much. Too much. But yeah, no, I just thought this was a cool little story to put in here. I thought this was awesome. I like that they've been kind of going back and doing this. Obviously, they have no need to do it, but hey, it's still great. And yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I'm right up there with you. I love Far Cry 5. I fucking hate it. Hate Far Cry 6.
Yeah,
but,
God.
I do think it is probably the second best Far Cry game we've ever got, right after Far Cry.
Yeah, Far Cry 3. Yeah.
Maybe not right after. Far Cry 3 is fucking phenomenal, but yeah, Far Cry 5, great. Those of you who I guess haven't played it or you absolutely love Far Cry, you get a chance to jump on in and play it at its full 60 frames a second. But all right, that's it. We're done with the news. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know down below through our comment section, through our Patreon pages, what you think about some of the things we talked about. And maybe we missed something. Maybe we're dumb and you don't agree that we get things right on this show. Let us know. We don't care. We'll talk. We'll argue. We'll debate all day long. I love it. Logan loves it. Let us know what you think down below about the Suicide Squad getting delayed. Do you think it's completely done? What do you think Naughty Dog's next game will be, or what do you hope it's going to be? Are you going to jump into some of the extra premium and Game Pass games this week? And what do you think about some of the games we reacted to? Obviously, what do you think about Atlas Fallen? I think it might sneak up on people. Could be a fairly decent game. Are you going to jump into Redfall? And are you going to shovel the shit that is Lord of the Rings Gollum? All right, we're going to go on now to LTR, also known as Let's Talk Reviews. This is where we go in depth and give you guys how some of the... That wasn't a sentence. Let you guys know how some of the games that you're excited about out there are being scored by the critics. I added a little bit of an update to this. I threw in the positive mix and negative stats from Metacritic to give people a better idea of how the game is being received overall, because we can't read 60 reviews on this. So, first game that we're going to go into is Bayonetta Origins, Syriza and the Lost Demon. I'm gonna only refer to this as Bayonetta Origins from now on. But anyway, it has a 79 on OpenCritic, an 80 on Metacritic, with 50 positive reviews, 10 mixed reviews, and 0 negative reviews. Over at GameStop, they gave the game a 9 out of 10 and said Bayonetta Origins is a testament to thinking outside the box. While I don't suspect Platinum Games will pivot to this new style of gameplay and storytelling in future games in the same way Breath of the Wild or God of War shifted the direction of their respective franchises, I cannot help but be thankful that the studio trusted the vision of its team enough to create this experience. Though with how fantastic every aspect of the game is, I understand why the developer did. The Sixth Axis gave the game an 8 out of 10 and said I was generally surprised to find myself enjoying Syriza and the Lost Demon even more than I did Bayonetta 3. The laid-back exploration, the beautiful visuals, the unique control and combat scheme, and the fact that this is a fresh take on the franchise make it an altogether different experience. Excuse me, and one that furthers the series' lore while ensuring it opens itself up to an all-new audience. Over at Video Games Chronicles, they gave the game a 6 out of 10 and said Bayonetta Origins sometimes feel like an idea half explored. In combat, two sets of fists are better than one, but adventuring never ignites in the same way. There's a level of invention and style we've come to expect from the studio, but this isn't quite pure platinum. So, Logan, this is a game that when it was first announced, you thought wasn't going to be good at all. I'm happy to say that you were wrong. I'm sad to say that I didn't get this on the Fantasy League, even though I tried to. Worthy, you bastard, part 2. Second week in a row you've done this to me, but scored fairly well. One of the odd circumstances where we actually see the Metacritic score higher than the OpenCritic score. That usually doesn't work that way. But what do you think overall, man?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I had I wasn't really expecting it to score really high, which it didn't. Still it's barely teetering between 80 and 79. 80 on Metacritic and 79 on OpenCritic. So still isn't like fantastic, but yeah, I'm a little surprised it's doing better than I expected. I didn't expect it to be like in the 50s, but I feel like it was going to be in the low 70s to maybe possibly high 60s, but I would probably say low 70s, because this game did not look good at all to me. It looks very boring and just complete, and there's nothing wrong with trying something new, but I don't really think the way that this game looked and the way it's done looks very lame compared to what Bayonetta is. So yeah, I'm a little surprised, but yeah, I mean, there's got to be something in there for it to get as high as reviews as it does, but I still think it looks kind of awful, the game. It doesn't really look that visually impressive, and also the gameplay looks extremely boring compared to Bayonetta. So, I don't know.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on that one. I thought it looks really inventive and cool. I'm not saying that I'm going to play it because I have a lot of stuff to play, but I did think it looked interesting from the get-go. So, score 1 for Mike, I guess, if you're keeping score out there. I want to get big enough to, like, someone tracks all the bullshit that we talk about and all the bets that we make, because I definitely don't track them, and I'm pretty sure you don't track them. So, I want to get big enough to, like, one of our fans or one of our followers out there, like, tracks everything. They're like, oh, this year Mike won, you know, this year Logan won. That'd be kind of cool. But that's a long ways away. All right, the Dark Pictures Switchback VR coming out on PSVR 2, and he got a 70 on OpenCritic, a 69, hey yo, on Metacritic, with 9 positives, 6 mixed, and 1 negative score. PlayStation Universe gave the game a 9 out of 10, maybe flexing some bias there and said Supermassive Games has nailed the thrill of funfair rides and amplified it with a healthy dose of horror. The Dark Picture Switchback VR utilizes the PSVR toolset to great and grisly effect. It cannot be counted among the most consistently entertaining. Oh, sorry. It can be counted among the most consistently entertaining PSVR 2 experiences you can have. IGN scored the game as 6 out of 10 and said the Dark Picture Switchback VR is a fun, on-rails arcade shooter, even if it's one that takes less than a day to complete. It's also one of the first games in PSVR 2's library to really take advantage of the headset's eye-tracking tech in an interesting and exciting way. However, the lack of scares, weak story, and occasional performance issues keep it from being a must-buy for PSVR 2 early adopters. Then, Push Square gave the game a 4 out of 2, fighting against the idea of favoritism and said, Until Dawn continues to elude Supermassive, and now even Rush of Blood appears to be out of reach. Switchback VR is a scruffy game that fails to match up to its well-liked PSVR predecessor, delivering low-budget visuals, lousy combat encounters, and pretty much low-energy level design. There are a handful of memorable moments, and some may find fun in the jump scares, but this should and could have been much, much more. All right. That's it. I was actually fairly excited about Switchback VR because I really did enjoy Rush of Blood for what it was. And this is just, in my eyes, further proof that Supermassive, honestly, Until Dawn is looking more and more like a one-hit wonder here. Like, I still like some of their games, but I don't think they've ever even gotten close to the quality of what Until Dawn was, you know?
Yeah, it's really weird. I wasn't really expecting much for this game. It just looked like a okay, just on rails roller coaster shooter game. So I wasn't expecting super high reviews. So honestly, this is more in line with what I kind of expected. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely agree though that Until Dawn was just truly their peak, and from there they just haven't been able to get back to that point. And I also think that's also partially because PlayStation gave them some good old moolah, and that really helped them quite a bit on making that Until Dawn. But still, I feel like they could make another good game even with a lower budget. But I feel like ever since they were given that money, now they just don't know what to do with lesser money to make something even close to as good. So,
Hey,
yeah.
speaking of that, the Quarry's now on PlayStation Plus. Peyton and I are planning on playing it fairly shortly, so you have to.
Let me know.
Yeah, you'll get to hear what I think of on that. Shout out to Push Square for being a PlayStation media outlet. They gave the game a 4 out of 10, which is the lowest score by a wide margin. So they did not like that. So
Yeah.
shout out to them for fighting against that urge to score all PlayStation stuff high, which they usually don't. They're not really that bad at it. PlayStation Universe is way worse at that than any place else.
Yeah.
Same with Xbox Era. All those places are really bad at it, which is why I usually default to some of the like video games.
I feel like if you put the name in your company, then it already seems like there's a lot of bias at that point.
Yeah, but it's also maybe just like a specialization that they want. Some people just don't like reporting on PlayStation or Xbox, so they report on one or the other.
That's fair.
So, all right. WWE 2K23 got an 81. Legend of Heroes Trails of Reserve got an 83. Anno 1800 on the next gen consoles got an 85. And then Woken Lords of the Mayhem has yet to get a review score on next gen, but it did score a 60 on PC back in 2020. So I don't know how much you're hoping for, but I don't know. Maybe it's better out there if you're waiting for it. So, anything else you want to say on the reviews, man?
No.
All right. Well, then out this week, here's the games you get to play coming up in the week. The third. Oh my God, the third week of March. On March 21st, Remnant from the Ashes comes out on Switch. Chia comes out on PS5, 4, and PC. Also on PlayStation Plus day 1. March 22nd sees Have a Nice Death on Switch and PC. March 23rd, Storyteller on Switch and PC. Then on wait, why did I repeat that? Okay, so it either comes out the 23rd or the 24th. I messed that up. But anyway, on March 24th, Resident Evil 4, the big one, really the only one, comes out on PS5 for Xbox Series X and S and PC. Any reaction? I was waiting.
Oh, sorry. I thought
good.
you were keep going. I was going to cut you off. Obviously, I think we all know what we're excited for here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play
Pretty
Chia.
easy.
You know,
That's fair.
PlayStation Plus day one game. Looks like an interesting, cute little adventure game. I'll probably check it out. Probably won't finish it unless it's like 6 hours. Then I might. If it's an easy platinum, you damn well know I'm gonna finish it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Resident Evil 4, I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
Speaking of that, the platinum for Octopath Traveler 2 is fucking ridiculous.
I bet.
Because the side quests are so hard. They only show you what they just tell you like, oh, I need you to go find this. They don't tell you where that is located. You got to look around and explore. Even if you find it, you may not have the character to unlock it, so you got to go back and backtrack through. And there's 100 side quests in the game, and you have to complete all of them. So I'm not doing that. But yeah, it's a little weird the way they do side quests, but I guess it's more old school JRPG where you have to figure it out for yourself. So if you like that, there you go, I guess. But
That's fair.
Sometimes I like to be told what to do. Both in games and in the bedroom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our show. Everyone who has either been watching or listening, we just want to take this time and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Without your support, we could not be doing what we're doing here on the Experience Point. But please help us to continue to grow by telling everyone out there that you know who even has the slightest appreciation for all things pop culture that they have some new friends waiting to talk all sorts of fandoms with them. We, as always, would greatly appreciate it. Mr. Birdman, any last words?
Resident Evil 4. That's all I gotta say. But thank you guys actually for stopping by. I hope you guys enjoyed our rants and also some excitement for the sweet. Well, more just a lot of ranting went on this episode, but I hope you guys stuck through the entire episode. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys that do stop by and listen, and also give us a like and maybe a subscribe. We would much appreciate it. Again, we're trying to hit that, I think it's like 200 subscriber mark at some point down the line. But other than that, I'd also like to shout out our Patreon Platinum member, Logan Leffler. We do appreciate your support in each and every month. And as always, none of you guys need to support us with money. We honestly just appreciate you guys just stopping by, wanting to join our community, maybe have a conversation down below in our comments section. But yeah, you guys will be seeing us on the next. Well, you'll be hearing from me, and possibly, just possibly, actually seeing us on the next XP podcast.
Yeah, I was literally just in my head. I forgot to mention this earlier in the update section that we do in the rigmarole. But yes, if all things go to plan, if all things work out, you will finally be seeing our ugly ass faces for the first time next week. We've been working towards it. Technically, I've just been waiting for Logan to buy it, but we've been working towards it, waiting to get the face cams up. So hopefully everything works out this week. We're going to do some testing on it. If it does, the next iteration of the XP podcast is here. You can see us doing our thing on the show, and you get to see all my statues and figurines that I have behind me. So look forward to that. What are you going to say?
Oh, no, I've said everything.
Okay.
I'll be seeing you guys. You guys will be hopefully be seeing us on the next XP podcast.
All right. Once again, thanks everyone for listening and following along with us. This has been another episode of the XP podcast brought to you by all of us here at the Experience Point. I hope everyone has a great week. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.